Suprema, Suprema roll call. Suprema, Suprema roll call. Suprema, Suprema roll call. Suprema, Suprema roll call. My team Suprema, yeah. Ain't no half stepping, yeah. Robert Townsend, yeah. Ain't we got no weapon. Suprema, Suprema roll call. Suprema, Suprema roll call. My name is Phonte, yeah. And I'm feeling cool. Yeah. I finally graduated. Yeah. From black acting school. Roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call.
My name is Sugar.
Yeah.
Back on the hash.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Did I see you on MASH?
Roll call. Suprema roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call.
It's like
yeah.
Don't need no bib.
Yeah.
Robert Townsend.
Yeah.
Can I get one rib?
Suprema. Suprema roll call. Approximation. Suprema. Suprema roll call.
My name is Robert.
Yeah.
I'm in town.
Yeah.
And getting down.
Yeah.
With this crew in town.
Roll call. Suprema. We should call us clowns. Suprema roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call. So I messed up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And someone tell me.
Yeah.
Where is unpaid bill?
Roll call.
Suprema roll call. Sorry, Suprema.
Yeah.
Suprema roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call. Suprema. Suprema roll call.
Oh my
Sorry
God.
about that. I did the wrong
cheating.
version. Huh?
You keep taking two.
Well, I forgot that Bill's not here, so I should have did it for 5 people. But instead,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Good cover.
Wow. Yeah. So
Way too many references. This was the pressure. I was like, I want to put the bold, the black, and the beautiful. Like, with the 5 heart. Like, it was just too many. It was too much.
man. Okay. Can we?
But
Can
wait,
we?
I'm right about the MASH thing, right?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Good. Just checking. Because
All right.
otherwise,
So can we just collectively have a meeting?
Yes. Okay. Okay, let's go.
Because we have a tendency
We're not going to embarrass you.
to sing people's songs and act out.
I can't promise you that's not gonna happen. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, no.
If I feel moved to sing "A Heart Is a House for Love." That ain't happening. I'm just saying.
I wish that raindrops would fall. Listen, don't come on.
Name.
All right, look, ladies and gentlemen, like it's falling on the table. For real, or did you just fall off the table?
I did, and I'm so sober. I'm sorry. It's Robert Townsend. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. So,
Sorry.
I have questions I've been wanting to ask you since I was 8 years
Right.
old, bro.
Oh
You don't
my
understand,
God.
like,
Yes.
what
Oh my
you
God.
mean to
Well,
us, bro, like straight
Well,
up.
let me introduce our guest first.
Oh, that's right.
yeah, we know who it is.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know where you landed, this is called Questlove Supreme. I'm your host, Questlove, and Team Supreme, of course, is strong. Fontigolo,
What up?
how are you, brother?
I'm with Robert Townsend. That's all that matters. Let's talk about him.
Steve,
I'm
Laia,
Robert Townsend.
I will just say that maybe or maybe not in the Thompson household, times weren't that happy. I will say that this gentleman single-handedly alone probably provided 85% of all joy and happiness that happened at, I can't say my old address right because there's
Somebody
a new,
put it up on
there's a
Zillow.
new right in Osage Avenue in West Philadelphia. I've probably, probably second to Coming to America. I've never quoted a film more than our guest and his debut movie as a director, Hollywood Shuffle. All of his films have touched our lives. Phonte's looking at me like, if you just don't say his name. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Townsend is on Questlove Supreme. Thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, and we should also note, Robin last night reminded me 42 times. She said, "You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome." Robin Feedy wants to, because you know.
she hooked us up? Robert?
Yes,
Yes, because of my daughter Skye.
That's right, because she's on Black Lady Sketch Show.
Yes.
So every 12 seconds, Robin wanted to come up to let me know that, that thank you.
Thank you,
Shout outs to
Robin.
her and all the
Shouts to
writers.
Robin.
Yeah.
That are having
Yeah,
victories
congrats on the
today.
writers getting their money.
Yes. We're I'm at a loss for words right now.
Yeah.
Stop. Thank you for having me. Just thank you for having me, you guys. I
Because
appreciate
I
it.
want to start crying and all that stuff.
Saying.
I know I feel all emotional.
Listen, yeah,
I
this
feel
is
emotional.
a direct.
Come
bro,
on,
like
man.
seriously,
You
man,
got a podcast to do. Let's go.
No,
Let's pull it together.
You are a direct line to like our childhoods, man, and like what Amir was saying.
In our memories.
Yeah, memories. Like HBO, like the Partners in Crime episodes. Like, dude, like that was an event. Like that was something like that would come on. Me and our family, we be on the floor. Like I'm on the floor watching and like all of that.
Are you wiping your tears with the script?
I don't know what. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, because he's right. I'm listening to Phonte and I'm like, yeah, that show in itself that changed. Like,
Yeah,
That changed-
the way we
that
look at
changed
black
us.
people
Yeah,
on
for real.
screen.
That changed us.
We had Patrice Rushen on the show like a couple years ago, and like we talked to her about
Musical director.
the musical direction, man. It was really just pioneering in so many ways and hilarious.
All right, let's get the initial stuff out the way.
Let's do it.
Where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, on the west side of Chicago.
Why did we come to LA to interview
I
10
know,
people
like
from Chicago?
all these Chicago people on our show. So yeah, and for our listeners that aren't aware, Chicago is basically considered the epicenter of comedy. Just like, some could say Dayton, Ohio, is the epicenter of funk. For some reason. Well, I'll ask you, have you thought about this? Why has Chicago been chosen as the epicenter of comedy? Even for like sketch shows, for writers, for acting, for comedy workshops, Chicago is where that starts. Is that just an SNL thing where...
I have no, as a kid, I just remember west side of Chicago, black folks, we always been funny. But then I studied at Second City when I was like 14, 15 years old. I started really young.
When did Second City start?
It's been around since the 60s.
And they
I
always,
thought Second City was like a...
No,
80s thing.
it's been around a long time. It's been
and they had a kids program.
They had because back then my teacher was Joe Forsberg, but Dale Close was like Jim Belushi and all those guys. Everybody came out of
in
there.
that class?
No, I wasn't in that class. I wasn't in Dale's class. I was in the other class.
Okay.
Yeah, but I started at Second City. I started doing improv, but I started in theater. I was like the youngest member of XBAG, Experimental Black Actors Guild, and it was like, one of the actresses that came out, Mary Alice, who was in Sparkle, she came out of there, and a guy named Felton Perry was one of the writers. But my first mentor, so I started when I was 14, 15. So that's when I started, and I did my first movie. I was in Cooley High. I had 2 lines. I was doing a play at XBAG, and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Michael Schultz, the director, and Glenn Turman came to see me in the show, and I got a few. So that's when I started, and then I was an extra in Mahogany with Billy D and Diana Ross.
Wow.
Really?
So I've been like, as a baby, I started, back in the game. But in terms of comedy, there was always comedy going around, but then I discovered like Rush Street had all the comedy clubs. I started performing like when I was 16, doing stand-up, 17, yeah.
So how does that? Well, first of all, what's your domestic situation in your childhood? Your parents, your siblings.
Here's the thing. I have 4. There's 4 of us. I have 2 sisters, 1 brother, and my mother raised 4 kids on her own. My father wasn't there. He was in our lives, but he was in and out.
Right. Were you the baby or?
I'm the second oldest.
Oh, okay. So like how do you? Like, what are the aspirations of your life in your childhood? Are you...
I wanted to be a basketball player.
Okay.
I mean, like, I just went back to Chicago recently, and all my boys were still friends, but we were all, like, my nickname back then was Left, because I got a sweet left-hand jump shot.
Okay.
And so then my other friend, his name was Ape, because he had long arms, and we used to call him Ape. And then you had Brown, Chris. He has 2 sons that were in the NBA, Shannon
Brown?
That's his dad, Chris.
Wow.
Okay.
And so we were all like little kids loving basketball, and Dennis Olive, we were all like just kids, and we used to go to the
You're
Chicago
still friends
stadiums.
with the friends from your childhood?
Oh yeah.
That is rare. And how does that happen?
Like, let me say this. Through the years, we always stayed in contact. And then, let me say this. When you have a dream as a kid on welfare on the west side of Chicago, and you just want to do something with your life, you need to have a circle of people that believe in you. And back then, even though my nickname was Left, they were like, I said, I could do voices and characters when I was really young. And so they were like, Left, you got something, Left. And they always believed in me. And we just stayed in touch. And so, and then, and Carl Ape, his name is Carl Brinson. He's the president of the West Side NAACP. And so we always had like a righteous mindset. We got to do something. We got to take action, So
you were just neighborhood friends, or were you connected through some sort? Well, I mean,
it was just basketball. It was basketball. Okay. Everything was basketball, and we met on the basketball
like a Jack
court.
and Jill thing, or some
no.
Well, I mean,
in the hood, nah.
whatever. Right. Well, no, I'm just meaning like some sort of. It could be church circles. Yeah.
But it was basketball. We would play on the basketball court, and we played at all the different tournaments and stuff. And then I played in high school on different teams. I went to 3 different high schools. So I played at Weber Catholic, then Prosser Vocational, and then I graduated from Austin.
Okay, I'm just amazed at that, because for me, like, oftentimes, especially with black success and black stories, once you transition to another platform, the temptation to try to take everyone with you.
Right.
I mean, we can give an example, like maybe an Allen Iverson or whatever. Like, try to take everyone with you is a hard thing to do, and sometimes you can't go to these places and maintain what was beforehand. So,
well, it was for,
and oftentimes your people might see your success as their success, and that's hard. So I'm really impressed that you still maintain childhood friendships.
Yeah. No, but they were real friends. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people, that are not in my life, that they, because there's certain, you have frenemies that are friends and they part enemy, and you just learn eventually to clean house, and you surround yourself with the right people. And so I've been blessed.
Well, that's what's up. When guests come on the show, if they're singers, then they start singing out the womb, they start singing in church. But how do you know that acting is what your true calling is if you don't?
So let me give you the story. Okay. So I am 10 years old. I live on the west side of Chicago. Neighborhood is surrounded by gangs, the vice lords, the executioners, the disciples, the Sinister Six. And my mother is afraid at 10 that I'm going to get recruited by one of the gangs. And so she goes, when you get out of school, run straight in the house. I run straight in the house, and all I do is watch television. I watch so much TV, they nickname me TV Guide. And they're like, TV Guide, what's on tonight? And I go like, NBC, they got a really good lineup. And then ABC, they're kind of cool. I think so-and-so and so-and-so. And then we were on welfare. And it's like, when you're on welfare, you can't buy soap because it's not food. It's food stamps. And so you always had that problem. And so I would always try to make my mother laugh. And so then I discovered that God had given me a gift to do the shows, because there was a time for the youngsters. There was a time that television went off,
right?
And when television went off,
we're all of age in here,
well, and so
you don't know about that.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
I thought it was 12. I heard it was 12.
And television went off, and so if you missed a show, you missed a show. And so I discovered that I could do every show on television. So back when I was 10, 12. I could do voices and characters, and like if I saw a movie from, French film, I'd je te télévision pourquoi, and I'd walk around the house. My brothers and sisters love The Wizard of Oz. I would do all the characters. I'd have never gotten my brains if it wasn't for you. What, the square root of 1? I would do Alfred Hitchcock. Good evening. They found the body in the alleyway. I would do the westerns. Well, damn it, no bread is fixed. You got to be out of town by sundown. I was so good, I could do Lassie. Timmy's in the hood. Some pimps got Timmy. So here's a story. I got discovered in the 5th grade. There was a teacher. His name was James Reed. Tall white dude, big nose, and he was just this beautiful man. And he wanted these little kids in the hood to learn about Shakespeare, and so he gave us 3 pages to read. And I just remember I got so nervous because it was like methinks and thou and thou and thus. And so, and so I went to the library and I stole all the Shakespeare records because I wanted to get an A. And I listened to them on our stereo at home, like Richard III. And I was like, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. All he wants is a horse. And then like, oh, Othello. And then I listened to all of them. And we had to read in class. And that's how I got discovered, because we had to read a scene from Oedipus. And I remember he was like, Deborah Jenkins, you'll be Ophelia. Willie King, you'll be Oedipus. And Robert Townsend, you'll be Tiresias, the blind prophet. Let's read. And they read like kids. Deborah read like a kid in the hood. Oedipus, you will marry thy mother and killeth thy father. And I had seen I was listening to the Royal Shakespeare Company, so I was like, Oedipus, I pray not the rage upon thy soul to be creatures thee not. And so I went deep, and the kids was like, woo, your ass is crazy. But the teacher, after it was over, he was like, where did you learn that? Come here, Robert Townsend. Where did you learn that? And I said, well, there's these records. They was in the library, but now they're in my house. But that's how they do it in England at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And that teacher took me under his wing. And he was the one who was the first one to say, you could be somebody. And I was like a little boy, and I was like, be somebody. And he was like, you could be somebody. So my journey started there.
So he planted the seed in you.
He planted the seed. And he came, it's like, I won my first award in 1968. So it was like I remember doing the news for my mother when Martin Luther King got killed. I was she says, what happened again? What happened again? At 12:32, Martin Luther King was leaving. And then Martin Luther King said, Martin Luther King said, we have been to the mountaintop, free at last, free at last. And I would do I was a little magical kid.
Wow.
And did you realize in that moment too that like, although the amazing part was, yes, that you found these records and that you also mimicked these records, but the also amazing part was that you knew, unlike all your other classmates, that there were these records at the library, and to even do that, because most kids, I don't know. I'm just saying, even that part to know.
Did you go? All right, so I'm a library kid.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to go. Same thing. Not necessarily games, but I grew up in the crack '80s. So really, it wasn't favorable for me to go out. So thus, I always stayed indoors.
Right.
And we had a gazillion records. So that's how I ingested all the music. And I knew 4 blocks away on Chestnut Street in Philly, there was a library. And I would just go there, listen to all the records, read all the Rolling Stones, all the, music books and whatnot. So I too would do that as well. And like the local library is one of my favorite spots. So was that like a destination for you if you weren't allowed to go out, or?
No, the truth was that I don't know. I was because of television, I was always curious about stuff because it was kind of deep. Outside the house was like pimps and gangs and drug dealers, and then I'm watching Leave It to Beaver. And so then I've got this world, and I'm watching the Andy Griffith Show, and then outside, it's like, if you don't have my money, I'll knock your motherfucking... And I'm like, oh. And then I was like, what is the reality? So when I would go to the library, I would just look through all the aisles at all the different things, and I saw those Shakespeare records, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was just, I just remember listening to it on our little stereo, and we had the little stereo that had the blinking lights.
Yes.
That, had all the disco music kind of things on it. And everybody wanted to listen to the Temptations or Gladys Knight and stuff like that. And then I was like, no, this is my homework. And everybody's around the house listening to me listen to Othello. And I understood it.
I'm just mad I didn't think of that as a kid. I would have understood Shakespeare even more if I even thought that there were albums that I could just listen to instead of reading the work. Like, I'm just saying,
well,
curiosity is a talent.
Even crazier full circle, because even in that like 20-second scene in Hollywood Shuffle, where you guys are recreating, was it Macbeth or was it Othello?
It was King Lear.
Okay, right. Even then, at that point, that movie was such a revelation to me that when you got to there, half the time I was like, well, I don't know if we will ever do that sort of thing. But then I thought about it like, wait, what would Black Shakespeare look like? So it did that one scene in particular. Like everything else was for humorous.
Yes.
And I took it as humor, but that was like one of my rare moments where I was like, like, I wonder what that life would look like. Like, in other words, like opening the palette and expanding my brain to accept the fact that we can do anything. So, yeah, that's a weird full circle moment, because even me watching Hollywood Shuffle, based on your life experience, that even planted a seed for me. Like, oh, we could do much more than what we're doing now. And
Yes,
so,
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So how did you know? What are your next steps? How did you know about A Second City?
So I'm in theater. Okay. So I'm at X-Bag, and then I went to the Lamont Zeno Theater on the west side of Chicago.
Is this high school or is this college years?
This is high school.
Okay.
And so I find my way to theater, and so then my first director, Paymoon Rami, who's in Chicago now, is a powerful brother. Him and his wife, Masikwa Myers, they were my first mentors. And so when you're around actors and people, and he was a casting director, so he cast me in Cooley High. He did the extras casting for Mahogany. And so you're constantly around like, oh, that's an agent over there. Oh, that's what, and you get this information. And when you're hungry, like, music for you, you're a sponge. And so I would just kind of, like, okay, what's an agent? Okay, where, acting class. Okay, I'm going to take an acting class. I'm going to take another acting class. Okay, how do I do a movie? If I could just say one line in the movie. And so I was just hungry, and I wasn't going to have anything stop me. Wow. And then I have to tell you this story. I really wouldn't be in show business. I was going to college at Illinois State University in Normal, Bloomington. And I was in the theater department, and I love theater. And then I'm down there, and on one side of the theater is John Malkovich and what's her name, Laurie Metcalf. They were on the other. Those were the actors. But for the black actors of the school, we had like little small parts. And so then I was like, oh, there's nothing. So there was this one teacher who, because I was fascinated with New York, and I was like, what are the actors like in New York? I mean, all the best actors come out of New York. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, James Earl Jones is there, Cecily Tyson is there, Sidney Poitier, they all come out of New York. And I was asking her questions about New York this one day, and I was like, well, tell me about New York, the actors in New York. And she looked at me and she said, stop asking about New York. You don't have what it takes to make it in this industry. What? You won't make it. You don't have it. Are you done? Are you through?
An actual adult said that?
Teacher, yes. And the way she said it to me, but let me explain something though. She hit me so hard, I left out of her office numb. And I was like, I'm not gonna make it. And I wandered the campus just like lost. And I was like, when an adult says something like that to you, it's an adult going like, you don't have it, you're not gonna make it. And I was wandering around the campus like, what? Oh man, I'm not gonna make it. And then I had a moment. And I had this moment where I go, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know what my talent is, what's inside of me. And I shook it off and I said, I got to see for myself. So I was so lost wandering the campus, I didn't even know where I was. I was just like, I'm not going to make it, my dreams. And then I stopped. And when I shook it off, I looked up and there was a sign that says, transfer to exchange with any student in the country, exchange program. And I was like, I went in that office and said, I want to exchange with a student in New York. And we don't have a school in New York, we have a school in New Jersey. I said, I'll take it. And I transferred to William Patterson College in Patterson, New Jersey.
Close enough, close enough.
Close enough. And so I would get on a bus from Port Authority and go to Manhattan on the weekends after I left school. And, but that teacher, if I saw her. This is 76.
New York.
And so that's when I met Denzel. Okay. It's like, but.
Did you see that teacher again?
But see, here's the thing. If I saw that teacher, I'd give her the biggest hug.
Right.
I'd give her the biggest hug because I don't, like a lot of my friends never left Chicago. And she broke me down so hard that day that like the part of Robert Townsend that goes like, wait a minute now, who am I? What am I? And she, at that point, I called my mother right away. I said, I'm leaving this school. I'm going to New York. I'm going to be in New Jersey, but I got to get out of here now. But if she hadn't said that, I probably would have still been there, and I wouldn't be Robert Townsend. It was that one defining moment that she pushed me so hard that I was like, what am I going to do? And then I said, well, maybe I don't have it. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to see for myself. So I'm going to bet on me. And and I was like, and then I was in New York and I was studying with Marlon Brando's acting teacher, Stella Adler. So I started studying with her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I started studying at the Negro Ensemble Company. And
How quickly do these things happen?
well, once she said that to me, I was only at USC for one semester. Once she said that to me, I got out.
Okay.
Because I was in the theater department and I was enjoying myself. But when she had that conversation, it's like, I'm a kid. And so if somebody says that to you and you hurt my feelings,
you
feel it.
feel it, yeah.
I felt it. And so then I was like, I got to get out of here. So then I was gone.
But then the Stella Adler part, like
So once I got to New York, it's kind of like, I say this to artists all the time, you got to have a blueprint. And so I was like, okay, to get to the next level, I want to study with the best. Stella Adler is Marlon Brando, one of my favorite actors. I would watch all of his movies, when I was that little boy, TV Guide. So then I'm studying with her, and then I go.
Wait, but how did you know to go to the top? Like,
how'd she take you? Like, she took you.
Like you said, I need the best acting teacher ever. Where's she? Oh, how did you even?
Well, so let me say this, because it's kind of like if you're hungry for it, if you really want it. Then if you go like, I really want to be an actor, who's the best acting teacher? Then, so Stella, it's Marlon Brando. Right. And so I'm like, that guy.
Right.
And so I just started, and then you ask actors in New York, who's the best acting teacher? Oh man, so-and-so. It's like if you went on the street right now and went on Hollywood Boulevard and you said, who are the acting teachers? Then somebody would say, Ivana Chubbuck is really good and so Fine is good.
Right.
So I ask, and then you got to audition to get in. And so when I auditioned to get in, I just did characters for you, and I wasn't even thinking about doing characters today. Back then, when I was really in character boy mode, where I would perform, I would go in. I made a living. I can tell you a funny story. I made a living doing dog food commercials because I could do that invisible dog. They would bring me in and they would say, "Okay, a little chihuahua, a big dog. He's excited to see her." And I made money being the dog.
Yo, this is the greatest episode of all time.
So anyway,
Sorry, Jimmy Jam, you out of here.
Yeah, it's a wrap, Jim.
So anyway, when you say the whole thing of that teacher, I would hug her because in that moment she challenged me so hard that I was like, no, I got to see for me rather than like, you're right, I'm nothing. I was like, no. And I think a lot of people get squashed like that all the time.
Dog.
And so
that was your teacher. Imagine if some of your family members saying that to you.
Oh yeah,
like, I know the squash feeling. So, Jesus.
So, can you answer the question now? What's the difference with a New York actor? What are they like?
You know what it is that it's not a New York actor. What it is that actors from all over the country that are really hungry go for the dream. They don't sit in like, I'm in little small town in Iowa. They go like, I want it, and they're all hungry. And so they all have that same DNA of we want it. So like when you see people, it's like a bunch of eagles all come together and you've left all the pigeons. And so all the eagles are standing there and it's like, hey man, you want this? I want this too. You want it too? Yeah, I want it too. And so then all the eagles are together like this. So when I, when I all the people that I met, like I remember, when you talk about half the talent in Hollywood, they all had that eagle eye. They weren't sleeping, they were up. Like, we want it. How bad do you want it? Like, you're like, today I'm coming to talk, but I really, I like you, and I'm meeting you today. And I'm like, oh, this brother, like, you're about something. So I don't do podcasts, you're about something. And so when I see, it's kind of like when you talk about people's work, it's like millions of people can hear this. Yeah. You can plant seeds. Like I've been in everybody's house, but I wasn't really in your house, but I was in your house.
Yeah.
And I was planting seeds of like, okay, if you see, Say Amen, me and Howard Hewitt, if I believe in God, I have faith. And so I said, let me plant this seed. Boom. It's a variety show, but let me plant this seed. hey, you know what? I'm going to put a mixture of stuff in here. Okay, I'm going to do the bold, the black, the beautiful. We've never seen black people dressed up. And I said, you know, the Trojan horse here is going to be that we're going to see black people being funny and everything, but we're going to see them in the best clothes and the whole thing. And so there was always an agenda. You know what I mean? Like everything is, you know, you're planting seeds. There's always an agenda behind it.
So, okay, so I have a theory about why New York, because you raised a question like, what was it about New York actors? Is it simply because in the acting world, like the mathletes or the snob actors are, their trial by fire is the Broadway stage? Like, you know, I'm an actor and I've done Broadway. So is that kind of, well, not the good version of the Scarlet Letter, but a badge of honor as opposed to just going straight to, like, what was it about L.A. that didn't call to you that New York was calling to you?
Well, you know, what it is that New York is about craft. Like to get on stage, like when you're on stage, it's just you and the stage. And you don't get to go, cut, you know. Like for me, what I love when I do, you know, perform or go in, I love theater. Like when I was doing stand-up and all of that, there's something magical. Like, so when I see the actors in New York, they live it, they eat it. And we're actors, like I work with some actors when I'm directing that, you know, like, you got 2 takes, you got 3 takes, that's it, Robert, 4 takes. And the really great actors, they go, how many more you want to do? 15? Yeah. Let's go again, Rob. Let's go again, Rob. Let's go again. Let's go again. Now, I love those actors. Now, when I have actors, you have it. Robert, I think you have it. And I was like, no, I ain't. I mean, I fought with the, you know, don't get me started. No, because the thing is that, you know, so let me say this. You know, like, okay, coming into this room today, all this love. So first, let me just say thank you for all the love.
Always,
you know,
thank you.
I create what I create because at the end of the day, if we get a shot to create something special, why not strive for a classic? Why not strive for a hit? Why not strive? And it's not an ego thing, but it's kind of like
it's
when
taking full advantage of the opportunity that you have.
That's all. You know, the thing for me is that I love what I do. I have to give it my all. And I think with New York actors, you know, and it's not all of them. There's a select group that they focus on the craft like nobody's business. And I think it's like with comedians, the same thing. There's certain artists that just focus, and like Richard Pryor would focus. As all the demons he had, he would always raise that bar in terms of comedy. And so I think anytime I try to put my heart and soul into my work, that people would want to watch it again. People would want to remember the lines, you know.
Yeah.
Like Soldier Story was a good example of that, right? Because that was a lot of New York actors.
Oh yeah, that was all of, you know, it's so funny because that was all of us from New York coming together because Denzel, you know, we were talking, you know, the other day, we would be at the unemployment office together, and we would be at the Actors Lounge together, Actors Equity Lounge, and so we were all like, Norman Jewison, you know, directed it, but Reuben Cannon cast it, and he was like, I want the best. He did The Color Purple as well. Mm-hmm. And he just wanted the best actors that he thought for the part, because Hollywood would go, hey, we're going to cast so-and-so in this part and so-and-so, and the casting could be all wrong. And he was like, no, I want David Allen Greer to play this part, Adolph Caesar's going to play this part, Howard Rollins.
What was it like?
Wilkie.
And like,
before you ask that, did he cast you in The Color Purple?
Reuben Cannon,
he was in The Color Purple.
I was an extra in The Color Purple.
Okay.
I was I was 5 or 6, you know what I mean? But yeah, I had to audition in front of him. And so I got cast as an extra. I was a kid. They shot it in North Carolina. That's my home. And so I went and auditioned, and he was there. And I had to read. Well, I wasn't reading, but the scene they gave us was we had to act like you had to act like you were hungry and that you were angry. So it was like, give me some jam, I'm hungry. Like you were telling the parent.
Right.
And I'm like 6 years old. And so the girl I was going up against, she was 9 and she was bigger. And she was like really angry. I was like, shit, she sound hungry for real. You know, she's like, I'm hungry. Like she played it up so fucking big. I was like, what the fuck? And so I came out to audition. And again, I'm 6 years old. I have no idea what the fuck any of this shit is. Like no one has told me anything. And so I came out and like, I'm thinking I failed. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I did a very bad job at it because I wasn't as animated as her, but I got it. And I looking back on it, I think what it was that I was so young and my fear was like kind of palpable. So being one of Mr.'s kids, this big Danny Glover just running around beating the shit out of everybody, that worked in my advantage because I was so young and I was so small and actually scared. And so I ended up getting the part as an extra for a couple days. But I remember Reuben Cannon, man. I had to I auditioned for him.
Good man, good man.
Yeah, man.
So I know that your experiences in trying to get to a particular platform led you to document and sort of hone it into a script that will eventually become Hollywood Shuffle.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about...
That is still relevant today.
Right. Can you talk about the experiences you had as an actor during the shuffle, the audition shuffle, the trying to figure out where you fit in and all those things?
Well, so back then, I'm living Keenen, Ivory, Wayans. Keenen moves to LA first, and then Keenen says, "Hey, Rob, these people are moving slow." I'm living in New York at the time.
How did you two meet?
We were both at the both comedians at the Improvisation in Manhattan. We were auditioning. We were online to audition, and we were the only two brothers online. And Keenen was coming home from Tuskegee because he was in college at Tuskegee.
Okay.
And so we were auditioning, and he was there that summer. And then we were hanging out like, yeah, bro, I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it too, man. Yeah, And then Keenen was like, he goes, I got to do this for my family. And then he took me into the Chelsea Projects one time. And I go in there, and it's a 4-bedroom house, and it's like all these kids. And I see Marlon, I see Sean, I see Kim, and they're all like these babies. And we used to walk from 45th and 9th Avenue, the Improv, to Pearl's Place on 96 on the east side. And we would be talking about our dreams, and it's like, man, and then one day I'm gonna be on the Tonight Show, man, we're gonna make movies. He says, I'm gonna get my whole family out of there. And it was like, wow. So that's how we met. So we had this thing about family and just success and winning.
Winky dinky dogs.
Right.
Man, so you made that first movie, Hollywood Shuffle, Credit Cards.
Yes, sir.
Talk about it, man.
So let me explain the route there.
Yes. That's I want to know the route to Hollywood Shuffle.
So I'm a young actor in New York now. I'm doing dog food commercials, making money. I'm doing extra work. I was in The Warriors. I was in The Wiz as an extra, one of the citizens of Emerald City.
Circle back. You're gonna come back to that.
And so I'm having these experiences. And I'm like an extra, and then
Do you have an agent? I hate to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but you're dropping so many gems. Do you have an agent by this point?
Oh yeah. Well, see, in New York back then, you could have many agents because whoever got you the job first.
Hell yeah.
Whoever got you the job first, so you'd be registered with this agent, that agent, that agent, that agent, and then whatever the job came in, whoever got to you first. Because they didn't want to sign people like you're signed exclusively.
Okay.
So they go like you could freelance, and so you've got 9 agents or 6 of the top people in commercial, theater, film, television, whoever got to you.
What is it like showing up on the? Because you're talking about like Mahogany and Cooley High and The Wiz and all these things. What's going through your mind like your first day on the set? Like looking at, are you?
I just remember
talking to the actors or.
No, I just remember the first day, like when you talk about Mahogany, that was in Chicago. We were in the cold, and it was Billy D doing the speech, and then I was behind, and I was in another scene behind Diana Ross in the welfare line. She's like, "I want to get my old man back," right. And then, but I just remember being out there, and it's like you talk about being, like my impressionist skills kick in because I was watching Billy D and. It was like he was like I was watching his mouth, and then I was just studying him, and it's like like the polls say we're way behind, the polls say we're way behind, and then it's like you want my arm to fall off, it was like the way he talked with his mouth, and so
how do you channel someone? How long does it take before you actually nail them? Like, because that's a gift. Where you? It's not,
it's so funny. It's like I can watch and listen. And then there's a certain, like if I really study, like I haven't done it in years, but back then, it's kind of like Jimmy Stewart, there's a certain sound in his voice, or Bill Cosby, because you see there's a sound. Right. And so I would hear different things. And so when I was out there in the cold watching him, and I just remember that whole speech, and I would just do it. And then when I got home, I would do it like James Earl Jones, like, you see, the daddy got to be the breadwinner, Claudine. the wherefore and the here, there, the fraud.
Well, wait, what is stopping you from being just Rich Little? Because that was the thing in the 70s and 80s. Man of 1,000 voices. Right. Like,
here's the thing. I enjoyed, so let me say this. I've been working on a one-man show about my life. And I think I did it in Berkeley, because of Richard Pryor, because Richard Pryor broke away and went to Berkeley. And my friend Don Reed was like, Rob, there's a theater up here in Berkeley. So I was working the show up there. And then now I'm going to take the show, and workshop it in New York, at the Public.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm in the middle of that.
I will follow.
Okay. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's all the stories about my life. But I was... I'll just say it like this. God has blessed me with a lot of talent. So I can write, I can direct, I can produce, and I'm a performer. So, but when I was doing the stand-up, when I was doing all of that, then I started doing movies, and I started, so then Hollywood Shuffle came out of that.
How good is a living being an extra in the 70s and the 80s? Like, as far as survival is concerned, like, what is the pay good enough for you to say, okay, or do you also have to work at a bounce at a nightclub, or
Well, see, I was hustling. I was such a hustler back then. I still am, but it was like back then I was like hustling really hard. So I did my extra work. I did television commercials because I would always say I could have dignity in 60 seconds. So I could, one of my commercials somebody just put on social media, and it was like, this is Eddie. Eddie's trying to get a job. Eddie's trying to get an education. He's working hard. That's why we're working with Eddie, and I was Eddie, and so it just somebody just posted it like 2 days ago. I just shared it with
Calvin.
I was the original Calvin. I was the original Calvin. I was the original Calvin.
Yo, what are our expectations? He's working at McDonald's.
Right. Yeah, I was the original Calvin. So I did TV commercials. I would do theater every now and then, and like I said, my dog food commercials. And then I was doing, I would do the demos for Bill Cosby for the Ford back then. So they would say, Bill Cosby's not coming in. Can you do the voice? And it's like, there's something about Ford Motors that I like, and I would do all the voices. So I was like doing different things and auditioning for the movies, and then I was auditioning for all that stuff. So yeah, I was. The extra work didn't pay, but I got to tell you, okay, this one story is that when I was doing the film called The Warriors, Warriors come out and play, I was in the Riffs. So if you don't know the movie, there's a gang summit in New York City. All the gangs come together, and then the leader of the gang, Cyrus, is shot. And then they go, who did it? The Warriors. And the whole movie's about the Warriors trying to get home.
To the crib,
So anyway, I was in his gang, Cyrus's gang. So we were in Central Park shooting for 5 days in Central Park in the middle of the night. Now, here's the thing. They had like 700, 800 people out there. Now, there were probably 100 actors, and the rest were real gang members.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And so here's how I changed my life in one night. So anyway, so they've got all the gang members and everything, and the prop department hands out chains, bottles, sticks, and all of this stuff. And so then you heard the first AD goes, when you hear the gunshot, then start running and use your weapons. And people were getting hurt. People were like, where is the SAG rep? Where is the SAG rep? And I was seeing people get hurt, and the gang members, they was loving it. It's like, I'm going to hit somebody else with this chain. Next take, I'm going to knock somebody out with this chain. And so then I was like, oh, man, I don't want to get hurt. So then this is where the writer-director Robert Townsend was born. Cyrus's body fell over there. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the one soldier that won't run. I'll just run to the body and protect the body. So then that way I won't get hit by nothing. So then they go, camera A, camera B, camera C, and action. and everybody starts running chaos, and I run to the body, and I stay near the body, and I stand near the body, and I'm standing near the body. And then all of a sudden, I hear over the speaker, the first AD goes, "The guy near the body, stay near the body." And so then they go, "Cut." First AD runs over to me. He goes, "What's your name?" I go, "Robert Townsend." He goes, "The director loved what you did. You just got upgraded." Now, I was supposed to make $66. Then I made $266.
That was rich back then.
That was rich. And so then the other actors are coming over like, "Why didn't you run like everybody else was supposed to run?" And so then something strange happened. Then all of a sudden we took a 20-minute break. And then they go, "Okay, we're coming back." And then when I came back, I was standing where I was standing, and then they had everybody standing around me. Because Walter Hill, the director, loved what I did. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, that's right. There would be somebody that would stay with the body. Not everybody would run away." And then it looks like, it's not in the film, but but I got stills from it because I pretended to be my own business manager.
Right.
And so I got
Mr. Townsend would like to get some stills. He was in the film. They cut his part out, but he'd like to. Can we come over? I'm going to send a young black guy over there to take a look at it, and I pretend to be myself. And so I went over and I got photos of it. But that day, I was like, I changed the scene. I said, I changed the scene. And so then it was like the seed of being a director was planted because, and he says, "You get upgraded." And then I was like, "Upgraded?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're going to make," and I was like, "A silent bit." And I was like, and so then every time I walked on the set, even though I was an extra, I walked on like I was a director. What are we shooting today? What's the first shot?
Okay, I got to ask, since you're in New York, and you're sort of a degree of comedy. Well, that's the thing, like, because you're also talking about stand-up, which I think is a whole nother animal besides theater acting or acting. At this point, is what's happening at 30 Rock in your radar at all with Saturday Night Live? Like, by this point, I'm assuming it's the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know that Saturday Night Live's a thing? And
I auditioned for Saturday Night Live.
What year?
So you don't know the history. Okay, so here's the history. I'm at the improvisation, and back then Jay Leno's the host. You got Billy Crystal, you got Rodney Dangerfield, you got Robin Williams. Everybody's there, and I'm one of the few brothers there, and I do my characters. And Silver Friedman, who just recently passed, she got the club from Bud Friedman in the divorce, and so she runs the club. And I am doing my stand-up and doing it. So Saturday Night Live is looking for somebody to be on the show. And so I put together all my characters, and they go, "You got to have an audition." And I go into the audition, and I'm just like today you're filling my characters and what I do. But then, like I'm a kid, and I'm like, "Pow, pow, 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 pow." And so I get done with the audition, and I'm like, I think I smoked it. I think I really smoked it. And so then they go, "You didn't get it." My agent calls and says, "You didn't get it." I said, "But I said, it felt good in my spirit. I felt like I was doing it." And they go like, "Well, they're going to go with this guy named Eddie Murphy." And so Keenen knows him from Long Island and from Roosevelt Island, and he goes, like, "Eddie's really good." And I said, "Oh, okay. I said, I guess I. So then, cut to a book comes out about Saturday Night Live. Right. And so Jean Dominion, or I think her name is, she's
the oral history of Saturday Night Live.
I think she wrote a book or something. Right. So then I started seeing all this stuff on social media, like Robert Townsend supposed to be on Saturday Night Live. Robert Townsend supposed to be. He lost out to Eddie Murphy, and I was like, what is this? In the book, I guess I really did give a great audition, and there was a big war in the room because they were like, "No, he can do the voices and the characters and da 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 da." But I mean, here's the thing:
we can only be one, though. We can only pick one.
We can only pick one. So in the book, it came out that that's really that I was up for it, and then in the 9th hour, I guess this guy Neil said, "No, we should go." I mean, but here's everything worked out, but it was just I like how you have something and you go like, "I think I really did good in there." And then later on when the book came out, they says like they were debating on this new comedian named Robert Townsend. So
you found out how close you would have came. Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy. All right, so I totally interrupted your story from
Hollywood Shuffle.
Yes.
Yeah, making that.
now. What,
Which one? I was like, yeah,
what's the straw? What's the straw that breaks the camel's back that leads to? All right, I got to do this. Is it a string of Close But No Cigar, like Lost Rolls, or that sort of thing, or?
No, it is the day I have the worst audition of my life, and so there is a director from England. He's doing a movie about pimps and hustlers, and so I go in to audition, and
I'm depressed already.
Right.
and so anyway. He humiliates me. He goes, no, you get out of the Cadillac. He's a bad mofo, you know. You Shonda Quanda Nikwa, I know you're holding out on me, ho. And then I want you to say, biatch. And do it again this time, and this time stick your ass out. Can you stick your ass out? You black guys have big asses. Can you move your big ass around?
Oh my God.
You know, okay, you want me to do it? Okay, hold your cock. Or do you call dick? Do you say dick, cock, dick? Hold your cock.
Is that a direction,
And so,
Robert?
This is real. And so then
What is this director directed before?
I didn't know. I was just going. So anyway, I finished the audition, and I'm outside the room, and I'm like you're a sellout at that point. You just want the job, and you're selling your soul. And I had sold my, because I was like, would you like to see a dick adjustment? Anything I could do differently? I was like selling, and he was like, no, it's fine. No, don't apologize. And so I walk out, and the door is cracked open, and I can hear him talking, and he goes, he's all wrong. I need a nigga. Wow. And he's just screaming.
Oh,
and so I leave, and I'm like, damn, that's what they think of me. Damn. I go to Keenan's house, and Keenen sees the look on my face, and Keenen, because he has 10 brothers and sisters, he would always cook, and he could cook his butt off. So Keenan's in there cooking, and he goes, cock balls, And I was like so mad. I was like, Keenen, we gonna die doing this bullshit, man. I said, fuck this, man. We got to do something. And then that thing came out of my spirit, and I was like, we got to make our own movies. And then
What year is this in which you declare that?
This is 83.
Wow.
This is 83. And so Keenen goes, Rob, you never directed anything. You never made a short film. You're talking about making a movie. And I was like, if we don't do this, we're going to die. We'll figure it out. Let's make a movie. And I had done, I was making money on my dog food commercials, so I'd make a lot of money. And I had just done a Soldier Story with Denzel. And so I had like $60,000 saved in the bank. And I was like, and everybody was like, you're going to get a Porsche, you're going to get a Jag, what you going to do with that money? And I was like, let's make a movie. And it was like, but you never did it before. And I said, it doesn't look hard. I've been on enough sets. I could do it. We could do this. And I basically taught myself how to make a film. And everything we did, the film was shot in 12 days, the whole film. 12 of the hardest days of my life. I'm co-writing with Keenen.
You walked me with
casting, all the things.
From soup to nuts,
Yes.
So, I have $60,000 in the bank.
Right.
And so then I go, let's just make, and Keenen and I, we start writing, and we're like, let's just make a movie about our lives. Like people say, write what you know. Let's just start writing. It's like, let's do that audition. Let's do that part. Okay. Hey, you know what? And let's show them who we are. So I says, I want to always play a detective. And he goes, yeah, we could play a detective, and then I could play the bad guy. Why don't we call him Jerry Curl? Oh, dude, that'll be perfect. So then I'll be Sam Ace, like Humphrey Bogart was in the movies. Instead of Humphrey Bogart, I'm Sam Ace, and I'll be cool like Sam. And we do it in black and white. Yeah. And then it's like,
there's no point in which you're just like, we're in over our heads. Who we kidding? Like,
no, because I call it the salami theory. A salami is a piece of meat like this, and you just cut off one little piece. And so I just knew to cut off one little piece at a time. I wasn't trying to go like, ah. I was like, okay, this is how much I have for my rent and my gas and my car. We can't touch that. So we'll take everything else and put it on the table. So then how much does it cost to make catering? We could do pasta. We could do chicken. We could do so and get it, da-da-da-da. We could get the pastries and blah, 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 blah. So craft service taken care of. Hey, back then you could rent the camera on a Thursday, say you're going to shoot for one day, and then you go like, I missed the deadline. I'll bring it back on Monday. So then you shoot for your whole weekend.
Yeah.
And then you shot with short ends. So I called Norman Jewison from A Soldier Story and Ron Swarry, the producer, and I said, I'm going to make a movie. Can I have the leftover film from A Soldier Story? And he goes, they call me Bobby, take it all, Bobby, take it all, take it all. So then I get the leftover film. And for those of you who don't know, short ends are...
Right. Yeah. Okay.
A short end, so the concept of short ends, for those of you that understand film, is that a magazine to load on the old school cameras was 10 minutes long.
Okay.
If the scene is 7 minutes, you have 3 minutes of film left over. You can't do the whole take again, so you just have 3 minutes. You go get another mag. So that 3 minutes of film, nobody can really shoot anything with 3 minutes. I go give it to me. So if I've got to do one scene and go, like sometimes I only had like a minute of film, and I just say Winky Dinky Dog. And it was like, Winky Dinky Dog, we got it, it's rolled out. Okay, let's go, moving on. And so reload. And so it would just be going that fast and that quick. And short ends. We couldn't afford the high editing places. So Keenen is always like, this is where we got into that brain thing, because Keenen was like, he says, Rob, where do they edit pornos at? Because if we go to a porno place, we could really edit over there. And so I hear in Chatsworth they got porno places. So we went there initially. What? Got a deal to edit porno. It's me and 16 porn editors. And I had never heard anybody direct porn. So then you're like, I'm walking down the hall waiting on my cut, and then I can look in other people's room. I look in a room, and then you see the editor there, and he got a cigarette, and he's editing, and he's doing the whole thing, and then you can hear the director's voice. Put your leg down. Enjoy it. Put your head back. Put your leg down. Put your head back. Look, and I'm like, and they're just,
Cock balls.
Cock balls. And so the actors, my whole thing was, I'm going to make this movie, and I'm going to take you through boot camp, because I started in theater when I was a kid. So I said, we're going to do acting exercises.
That's what I was wondering what you do.
We did actor exercises, warm-ups, and all of that, rehearsing.
Wait, how did you even rally the troops?
Everybody.
Wasn't Anne-Marie Johnson sort of established?
No, nobody was established.
I've seen her on extras, and
no, not back then.
The first time I've ever seen her was Hollywood Shuffle.
I mean, she had done little things, but not really like popping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the actors
But
that
even
played your
John
grandma.
Witherspoon
The
and-
actors.
No, John had done stuff, but it was like there was a time when it was like the black exploitation, which was not exploitation, it was just movies where we were the leads. Right. You had that period with Melvin Van Peebles and all of those, and Michael Schultz and Cooley High, and then there was like a little bit of pause where there were no movies like where we were, and then Spike was in New York doing She's Gotta Have It while I was in LA working on Hollywood Shuffle. Okay. And so that was that time. And so there were actors that were working, but the work wasn't consistent. So then the thing for me was to say, look, I don't have any money to pay you, but when you're going to have a great time, we're going to make a movie, we're going to make history, and
There's
work
some
with
chicken
me.
over here at the craft services.
Exactly. And that was right. And so they were like, he's going to feed us and he's going to do this. And so, and I will have respect for your time. I will always.
They all have day jobs, right?
They all have day jobs. And so we shoot on the weekends. So I will get you in and get you out. And so the one thing I learned early on was I know how to plan. And so I did the call sheets, and I knew we had to be invisible so that people wouldn't shut us down. So I go, we're going to shoot at this house, but park 3 blocks away. And here's where you can park, and then walk over. And hey, don't hang out in front of the house, hang in the back. Please be quiet so that we could shoot. And then we're gone. And then by the time we shot all of our outdoor stuff, like the Black Acting School, Sunday morning, people met at my house at 5 o'clock. We went to Nichols Canyon, and laid everything out, jumped in the van.
Mountain.
Yeah. Where we goes like,
Saved the white woman.
yeah. So by the time,
Well, what about like the beauty shop where Anne-Marie Johnson worked at? Like
that was in, we made a deal where we said, hey, we will pay $100 plus clean up, for a couple of weeks if you let us shoot, and that was like on Crenshaw. So we just,
Or the movie theater? I'm sorry.
The movie theater was the old Baldwin Theater that's not there anymore, and it was owned by these two brothers. And basically, we just said, hey, we don't have a lot of money to pay you, but we'll clean up, we'll mop the floors. And I think I mopped that theater for about a couple of weeks after it was done. And they said, hey, you can shoot, but you got to be out before the movie starts at 11 o'clock.
So it was an active movie theater.
Yeah.
And you guys would shoot on the off hours.
Well, we shot before the movie started. So like back then,
In the morning.
in the morning, we shot in the morning. So we'd get there, I think we got there like at 4 o'clock, set up, started shooting. We had to wrap out by 10:30, and then the movie started at 11.
Dude, the same way that The Disaster Artist was made about The Room.
Oh yeah.
I need a movie made about
Hollywood
how
Shuffle?
this movie got made. This is the first meta movie about making a movie about someone who didn't get to make movies. So continue. So
then the actors, everybody that I had ever auditioned against, because the other thing is that you go like, oh, that guy's really a good actor, or oh, I've seen her and stuff before. She's really good. And so everybody I ever auditioned against say, hey, I'm trying to do this movie. Do you mind being in the movie with me? And I was like, and they were like, sure. Have you ever directed? I said, no. I said, but I was. They knew coming out of the theater, I knew what I was talking about because I had been in theater. So everybody said yes, and I said, I won't take my money first. Your money will be the first money. As soon as the money comes in, you will get paid first. And so that was the best day of my life.
You made a spec deal of like, if this goes to the theater and makes money and whatnot.
Well, there was no deal. It was my word. It was my word because we didn't have a lawyer or anything, so it was just my word. Like I go, you have my word.
There's nothing on paper, not a contract.
There's nothing on paper.
They word. What good is your signature?
So basically, so here's the deal. So that was the happiest day of my life because when the film is done, I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit and come back. But when the film is done, I say to the Samuel Goldwyn Company, Sam Goldwyn says, I love this film, I want to distribute it. And so then I say, hey, can I get my check like now? And he goes like, well, why you need it? He says, I said, well, I charged the rest of the movie on credit cards. And he was like, you charged your film on credit cards? And I was like, yeah. And so then I go, it's like $40,000 and I need that money like now. And he was like, you did? And he says, this is the best story ever. And I told him, I said, hey, I couldn't pay for, food, but I could charge it. I said, I couldn't put, so I went through how I did all this, the charging. So then he goes, we'll do that and we'll take care of everything. I said, but the first thing is that I got to pay all these actors because I told him, and so he says, okay. He says, how soon do you want to do it? We're going to sign the deal. And I said, how soon can you do it? And he goes, it's Thursday. He says, it's going to take me some time to get it together for Friday. I said, can we do it Sunday at my house? And so Sunday at my house, I was living on I was living on Orange Drive. And right off of Melrose, and I said to all the actors, meet at my house at this time. The accountant from the Goldwyn Company is going to be there. I have a 1-bedroom. You'll sign your contract in the bedroom. You'll wait in the living room. I have drinks and food and everything. And they got their checks before I got mine, and they all did it and came in my bedroom and they signed their contracts. And that was the happiest day, of my life.
This is the first time I'm applauding on my own podcast.
Yo, what actor I specifically want to ask you about? Ludi Washington.
Yes, sir.
What role was he?
Yeah.
Winky Dinky Dog.
He played Donald in Winky Dinky Dog.
And Bad. Michael Jackson's.
And the house party. He's
right.
Hey, Peanut, fix me some of that Dick Gregory.
Right.
Like he's just one of them actors that.
Ludi showed up, because there were certain people that. Jackie Brown was the casting director because there were certain people that we knew and people that we didn't know, and Ludi showed up and here's the thing. I worked at a place called Yankee Doodle Dandy in Chicago, and Keenen worked at McDonald's in New York, and so we both combined our experiences. And so Ludi was one of the cats that we used to work with. It was like that.
Yeah. Okay. Nah.
Whose idea was it about hoe cakes? Because the only person I ever heard mention hoe cakes was James Brown on Live at the Apollo Volume 3, where he talks about.
That was John Weatherspoon. That was Spoon.
So
Spoon was improvising. Spoon. Here's the thing. Again, when you ask these people, hey, I'm going to do a movie, and you haven't done a movie before, and they're like, what is the hell? Who do you? And so he was like, man, whatever you want me to do. And John Weatherspoon was like, he would just give you the world. And so when I said, okay, this is a flashback now, he's down and out and so and so and so and so, then go, and John just started going off, and I had never heard Hoe Cakes either, and I just thought it was just brilliant.
At that point, did you know who Melvin Van Peebles was, and that was his exact experience making Sweet Sweetback's badass song?
I didn't know anything because I kind of knew some directors, but I didn't know because I wasn't like, I'm going to be an independent filmmaker. I was just so fed up that I just go, I'm not going to complain. I never complain. It's like, let me just do something about it. Let's take action. So then later on, I discovered who he was in his films.
Well, probably the most established person of that ensemble is maybe Patrice Rushen, who by then was a platinum-selling artist. So how did you get her involved in the scoring of the film and all that stuff?
Well, what it was that because I love movies, I know that music is really important. And so I was looking for different people and then sending stuff to different people's agents, because even though we were small, it was like, it's a small film, but, at that point we had something in the can that people could look at. So her agent reached out and sent us her reel, because she had never really composed. She had done, music, but then it's like, how people go like, and even Sam Golan, they were like, wait, you got an artist, maybe they can't compose, maybe they, you know what I mean? Because it's like,
because they are two different skills.
They're two different, songwriter versus that. So I met with her and she was like, I'd love to do it. And, it's just kind of like, for me, there aren't a whole, back then, there might be a little bit more now, but there weren't a lot of black women composers or black women musical directors. So when she said, hey, I want to do it, I knew her music, but then I saw her passion to like, I can give you some music underneath here, and I can do this, and I can do this. And then when I did Partners in Crime, I said, you could be the musical director and come up, give me the playoffs. And so, and then she went on to do the Emmys and everything. So, it's just like, but it's just seeing it.
So is there a moment for you, like completion? Is it after the first screening of it? At whatever, I don't know if you guys did a premiere or not. Is it when Eddie Murphy hears about this and rents out the theater to see it? Like, at what point do you realize holy shit, this is going to be a thing?
Let me say this. When we were putting it together, editing and doing the whole thing, Keenen and I, it made us laugh. It's like if we really laugh, like, oh, this Jerry Curl stuff, we were laughing, and it was just us laughing, having a good time. So I wasn't really like, everyone's gonna love this. It really doesn't, there's a part that you want to be loved, and then there's another part, like, I just want to do what makes me happy. Period. And I think we were being true to that.
So what is your, once the success of the film brings you to this platform, what's your internal feelings? Because oftentimes when a person has like that type of success out the box, I mean, we could say this is the Illmatic Nas situation, whatever.
Right.
Like the follow-up, getting over the mountain, like in your mind, what is, I know they say the world's your palette, but what are you envisioning your next step to be?
What's funny is that I've always known exactly what I want to do, and then it's just that when you, like after Hollywood Shuffle, I was being offered everything in the universe, every project, every script, every da-da-da-da.
What was being offered to you?
It was all kinds of bad comedies. It was like a lot of bad stuff that I wouldn't want to do. And so I was like, and when people go like, well, you haven't made a lot of films, this is funny. And then it's like, no, it's not funny. And you're dealing with TV Guide, because I grew up on television. So there's a certain, I have
what's
my.
funny to them.
Yeah. And so I was like, I was being offered everything, but there was nothing that spoke to me. And the one story that I wanted to do, when I was a kid in Chicago in 1968, Herb Kent, the cool gent, gets on the radio and says, the Temptations are breaking up and David Ruffin is leaving the group. And that was my favorite group. And so I was like, what? What happened? This is wrong, blah, blah, blah. And so then that kind of stayed in my head. And so my thing was, I told Keenen, I said, we could do a story. I wasn't, arrogant enough to say, we could get the Temptations story. I said, let's make our own movie, but I want to know what happened.
Right.
I want to know what happened to that singing group. Why did they break up? Because I was devastated as a kid. I just remember looking at the radio and I was like going, what? Why did he's leaving? What, And then that took me on the journey for the next movie. But all the stuff that they were offering me, there was nothing that I was really like,
With the five heartbeats, you at the end credits, you mentioned the Dells.
Yes.
How involved were they in, with making the movie with you, and how much of the story is from their personal kind of experience?
So let me give you the backstory behind the film. I did a documentary on it. It's called Making the Five Heartbeats. So the whole thing that I would say is that initially I wanted David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks to be the technical advisors. Mm-hmm. And so I had reached out to them, and David, he was going through his drug thing. He was struggling. And so I went to meet with him, and he was strung out a little bit. And Keenen and I, we said, hey, once the film gets green lit, we're going to put him in rehab. We'll just pay for it and just take care of him and blah, blah, blah. So that was our plan, because I told Keenen, man, David doesn't look good. And he was doing that snorting and all that, and I could just tell. And so we were going to, take care, put him in rehab. So anyway, the studio, Joe Roth, finally green lights the movie. And so I go, hey, I got David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks. And then he goes, no. And I said, well, why not? And he says, because everybody's going to think it's the Motown story. And you got that Big Red character. And so they're going to say, the Temptations, and you're going to get lawsuits up the wazoo, because people are going to say, oh, this is the Motown story, because you got these two as your technical advisors. And so then at that point, I had to say no to them, which broke my heart. And then they were saying, who else would you want to be technical advisors? And then that's when the Dells, I said the Dells, and then the Dells.
God, you knew Marvin Jr. That's crazy.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yo, man, like I was born, so I wasn't born at a Dells concert, but my mom, like, damn near on the 8th, 9th month, but I started kicking at a Dells concert. And so,
are you serious?
Yeah. I was in the moon. But yeah, I mean, I grew up I grew up in the Charles Stephanie period of the Dells, so like How Sweet Can Funk Be and all. But yeah, Marvin Jr., like, to me, even knowing, like, like, my dad knew Teddy Pendergrass, whatever, like, Teddy would even say, like, that's his North Star. Like, what was it like just dealing with it? Because the world does not know about the Dells and how powerful they are.
So the Dells, my favorite singing group, people know Oh What a Night is one of their big songs, and Marvin singing the long note. And at first they got pushed back from that record because they go, this record is too long, but the DJs eventually loved it because they could take a break, and people love that long note, and then the whole thing. So the first meeting with the Dells could have been the last meeting, because they were at the Wiltern Theater, and I was like, oh, they like, after the whole thing happened with the Temptations, I was like, the Dells, they're in town. So I'll go talk to them. Now, I don't know how to interview people, so I was never like that. So I do my research before I go there. On their first album cover, they weren't on the cover. It's a white couple walking along Michigan Avenue looking so in love. And so I'm like, so that was the first, I was like, and they're on the back in a little square this big. And so then I was like, that's kind of messed up, their first album. And I was like, that's kind of weird. So anyway, I go to the Will Turn. They're getting ready for the show. They're all in their white bathrobes, and they're putting their makeup on and just chilling and everything. And so they're all friendly and nice. Robert Townsend's coming to see us, man. Robert Townsend, hey, how you doing, Robert? How you doing? And so then we're talking. And so then I'm looking at them, and I'm like going, I said, hey, man, I'm trying to do this movie. I want to get it real about how groups were treated, how much money you made. And I could see their faces changing in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I did say something wrong.
Nerve, yeah.
And so then they were like, yeah, man, yeah, we made money. Yeah, we did. And so then they continued talking. Then I said, your album cover. I said, why weren't y'all on the front page of the album cover? And I don't know. I had just looked at it. Wow. And so then in the mirror, now they're in their 70s, late 60s. And I see Marvin Jr. go. And I go, oh, man, Rob, you shouldn't have brought that up. And then he goes, they made a decision, and we just decided that, that's how they was going to go. And then all of a sudden, it was Vern. Right. And Vern says, they wanted us to cross over. They said it would be good for our audience, and then I forgot. Mickey said, yeah, because they couldn't, they could hear our music, but white people don't want to see our faces, and so they started going back and forth. And then I was like, and I was in the mirror writing it down. I was like, because the crossover ain't nothing but the
double cross.
That came from them, and so as they were going through it, and it kind of broke my heart because they were older men, but then when I was looking through the mirror, because I was sitting back while they were all at the mirrors, but they could see me, they couldn't see me. But then as I was looking at them, that memory was like it was yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, these poor, the pain, because then Mickey said, yeah, man, we went to the barbershop and they clowned us hard, man. Everybody at the barbershop was like, what is this bullshit? And we felt so disrespected and da-da-da-da, but then, they made it up to us and blah, 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 blah. But so that's how the Dales, and that's what the Dales gave me.
So how much of Johnny Carter's life was in the high voice?
Choir boy?
Choir boy. Yeah.
We just took pieces of different, let me say this. The thing of the church and secular music has always been there, so everybody dealt with that. So that's why we, it was that, and which is real, like, hey, you can't serve two masters, so all of that was real.
The actor you cast for, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he also played your dad, I think, in
David McKnight.
Yeah.
David McKnight.
And he was in Hollywood Shuffle, but then also he played Choir Boy's dad.
Yeah. That's David McKnight.
David McKnight. No, I love him as an
He
actor,
was the first actor. Paymoon Rami, he entered when I was in college and I was in speech contest in college. The first time I came to Los Angeles, he was the first person to show me around, David McKnight. And he had just finished a movie called JD's Revenge.
Yes. He was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy. He was JD.
He was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Man, wait, do you have another?
I have so many, but
go ahead.
I'm drinking 5 Heartbeats. Casting
Raw.
that. Yeah. God, I forgot. Yeah, we got Raw. Jesus Christ. Final 5 Heartbeats question. One of the things I remember about that movie, it wasn't even so much about the movie. I remember, because this 5 Heartbeats, what, 91?
91, yes, sir.
I was 12, all right? So I'm watching Teen Summit.
Hey.
Right? You know what I mean? And so, back then I would just go to the movies. Like, my mother would just let me go to the movies by myself. I'd just go watch. And so I went and saw 5 Heartbeats, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever. You know what I mean? So then later on, I see you guys on Teen Summit, and you're like, yo, y'all need to support it. We need whatever. And it really kind of cracked the facade. I was like, oh wow, like, this is it not successful? Like, how is it not? This movie is amazing. But I really appreciated just how real y'all kept it. I remember you and Michael Wright, I think he was with it, and they was just like, yo, like, we need to support this. And you were talking about the marketing. And that was just something that, seeing black artists on a platform like BET talking so openly about the struggles that y'all were having on a movie that was in theaters, You know what I mean? Like, that shit was big, you know what I mean? And so I just want you to talk about that, man, and kind of what happened.
Let me just say this. The 5 Heartbeats, that's the madness of Townsend on the highest level, because I saw close to 10,000 people to be in that film. You know, I had auditions in 3 different cities and just trying to make it. I'm co-writing, I'm directing, I'm producing, I'm acting, and so I'm wearing all these hats, and then I'm playing music guy as well, because I had to pick the music and the lyrics have to make sense and learn choreography. So it was like one of the hardest things for me, but I loved every second of it. But again, it's that thing again of like, the marketing wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I wasn't happy. And you know, that was my second movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I've always been like, you know, and so I lost the battle on the marketing. So when the film started to die, I was like, this can't be. And the film died, but it didn't die. It was just.
Did it? Yeah, I was like,
well, I mean,
what do you consider it now? Like, do you consider it cult classic? Because to me, it's.
No,
Anytime that movie's on, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Period.
No, I mean, when I say it didn't, the box office numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think because the marketing, people didn't know what they were getting, so we didn't make any money. But then now it's like over 1 billion, almost 2 billion clips shared worldwide, because they send me the numbers on, like, people will send the sister scene and they'll send Eddie King and then all the memes of gang, and we haven't finished yet.
What does that mean for you monetarily, though? That doesn't.
Well, the thing is that it means, but see, so I'll put it like this. No, I do not make any money on the clips, but the brand is, I was not wrong. You know, I mean, I have ideas sometimes, and I think my mind goes, you know, like I will create so many, like right now in my brain, there's so many different shows and stuff that I'm working on, but they're all different. And it's like there's a certain touch that I have. Like, you can watch movies, and I design my movies in such a way that I want you to watch them again and again and again and again. If I've done it right.
Yeah.
If I've done it right. You know, if I've added, like, even like movies that I just directed, like B.A.P.S. You know, there's so many people that want to remake B.A.P.S. and
I
what
thought they
have you.
were. I thought there was a whole thing.
That's a whole other story.
Okay,
No, they're not
all right,
remaking.
all right.
No, but they want to do it, but it's not. It's got to be right. It's got to be right.
Yeah.
So
Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
Yeah,
thank you.
Is that the
Little
first?
Richard.
So
Yeah.
wait, real quick, because I want to give props to the youngin that's doing our makeup upstairs. Aaron, she said, "Wait, did Robert Townsend put the first black action hero on film?"
Oh,
And I
with
was like,
Meteor Man.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
That was your-
I mean, that was. You see, the thing is that, again, that's a Trojan horse. It's like when my nephew was really little, Greg Jr., and I was I was coming back to Chicago, and it was like around Halloween, and I was like, who are you gonna be for Halloween? Superman, Batman? And he was like, I can't be them because they're white. And I was, you know, and because like you grow up in the hood, there's a certain, you know, and I was like, no, that's wrong, man. Everybody can be a hero. You know, I like Superman, I like Batman. You could be whatever you want to be. Mm-hmm. And so then I said, I'll create a hero that looks like, you know, looks like him.
Yeah. Man, what was it like having Luther Vandross like act? That's
You
like
know,
one of the
can I
only
say
actors-
something?
Yes,
Luther,
please,
you know, like Luther, well, that's a whole nother, because when I got married, you know, it was like we would only play Luther, go to Luther concerts and all of that. So when I
heard he
reached,
buses too. So
Huh?
we heard Johnny Gill say he's a hell of a busser, like the dozens.
yes. So no, but the thing that I would say is that he, you know, when I said, hey, would you want to be in the movie? Because I called him, and he was working with Gregory Hines on an album or something.
Yeah, There's Nothing Better Than Love. Yeah.
And so then I said, would you be in the movie? And so then he goes, you want me to be in the movie? And I says, yeah, but I want you to play the bad guy, and I want you to have a gun. And he says, I have a gun? And so he was going through this whole thing, and he says, are you serious? And I said, yeah, we're just in pre-production. He says, will you give me 6 months? And I was like, give you 6 months? And he was and I was like, if you need, you know, I was like, yeah, we'll be ready, but you know, I'll schedule around your schedule. He said, give me 6 months. And he was heavier then, and then he lost all that weight for the
Little
role. So when he showed up, I was like,
skinny.
Right.
Yeah.
I want you to be the big guy. Yeah.
yeah, no, but he was perfect. But I mean, but he took it serious. He took it really serious. And we were trying to do some other stuff. So it broke my heart when he passed.
Another actor. One thing I always appreciated you, like kind of like with Spike, where you have your kind of crew of actors that you keep working with.
Yes.
And one guy that I always loved, man, Roy Fagan.
Roy Fagan is a beast.
Dude, he was like, I met Roy. Bro, I was like,
Shoot.
so he was
Bird in the Midnight Falcon. He got dangled out the room. That's Roy.
Playing with my so Roy, bro, I met Roy. This was, man, I was a kid. I'm like 13 years old, and I went to he was doing a play in my city in Greensboro, North Carolina. He was doing a play at it was at A&T, which is the HBCU in our city, and he was doing a play there. And afterwards, I just went down in the front row, and the cast came out, and I just started chopping up with him and talking about acting and like kind of like what is it like, what is it being. And he was just giving me game. He's like, oh man, you seem like a smart kid. You got a nice commercial look. You know what I mean? Like he was cool. And I always respected that and remembered that. And I just wanted to know what was it like working with him, because I always loved y'all work together.
Roy has been, Roy was the bad guy in Hollywood Shuffle that was like, don't sell out,
And then he sold out.
And then he sold out, which really happened in real life. That's something that Keenen and I wrote because we were at an audition. This guy messed our heads up. He was like, brother, don't go in there, man. They trying to get some brother to sell out again. And me and Keenen like, really? And then he went in there with that same kind of energy. But no, Roy's just a great actor. I mean, like even in Meteor Man playing the bad guy, he's just he's just a really versatile actor.
Yeah, man, that's what's up.
Can you talk about why you decided to do this in D.C.? Because people don't really film in D.C. I mean, well, it's set in D.C. I should say. It's set in D.C.
Well, I mean, there was a part of me that the whole thing of Washington justice.
That's my cities.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ground it there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You from Atlanta last episode. So.
I was born at Howard University Hospital, sir.
Okay. All right. So DC, I get it. Wait, I want to talk Raw, but it just hit me. He's responsible for probably one of my best known songs in my canon. He's responsible for Sometimes.
Bilal?
Okay, so here's the story.
Bilal?
Here's the story.
Okay.
And it just hit me right now. You directed Carmen, the hip hop opera.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So here's the deal. Now, I'm doing residency at Electric Lady Studios, and basically D'Angelo and I, get along famously, form a friendship, and he's like, yo, when I make my second album, I need you to be my co-pilot. We're going to start working on the Voodoo record. So from like 96 till 2003, we set up in the house of Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix in the Village, and that's our operation. So all these albums are coming there. The Roots are making their records there. D'Angelo's making his records. Erykah Badu, anyone that's in that Soulquarian, neo soul bubble. And so we're working on Common's Like Water for Chocolate album, and he's coming in with an extra pep in his step today. He's like, yo, man. He's like, I got an audition, man. This yo, man. I was like, what is it? And he's talking about, yeah, man. I'm gonna be an investigator, like in a cop in this hip hopper, and old girl gonna be in this too. I'm like, who's old girl?
Beyonce.
He said, old girl from Bill. Oh, Destiny's Child Joy? Yeah, like we didn't know her name. Whatever. and so we now the thing was, I was never, even though I'm the guy I'm the planner, I'm the bridge, I'm the person that introduces people and all that stuff, it wasn't like my intent, but by year 3, I realized like, okay, when I throw jam sessions, I'm bringing people together. And when I'm producing people, I'm bringing these musicians together. And I thought about it. I said, yo, if Common gets this part in this role, then old girl, I'm gonna bring her into our world. Like, I was like, all right, Beyonce, I'm gonna bring her into our world. And so think of the sitcom switch thing. So he comes in the next morning. He has like his sweater on, his tie, everything, his hat. Like he's coming to audition. He's not coming in his pajamas. Like, we'll sleep there for 5-6 hours, whatever. And so Rosh, and you were there for this, Steve. Rosh, Carmen. He's coming in all excited, like, yeah, man, I'm gonna knock this audition out, whatever. And we're like, all right, good luck. And we're looking like, yo, you think he's gonna get it? She's like, no, we ain't gonna get it. But anyway, so think of the sitcom switch where it's like, you can do it. Switch. And he comes back and all dejected. He comes in all dejected. I was like, what happened? You get the role? Nah, man. Man, Most auditioned too, man. He's gonna get it. So, we got jokes. So that whole time, we were just watching our dreams deferred, our dreams just like sail away. And basically what happens is we can't stop clowning Carmen about losing his role, acting with old girl. So we just start mocking Bills. And the main line in Bills is, I don't think you do. So that just became this ongoing joke for 12 hours. Like, we play something, say, no, Carmen, I don't think you got that role. So we're just going on all day. And then once Most gets the role, then we really start mocking him by like Umi Says by Mos Def. My Umi Says. So for some reason, James Poyser decided to amalgamate the two songs, Bills, and Umi Says. And we did it for like 20 minutes for fun. And the Bilal's like,
yo, that's your jam.
Right. I like that. Right. And we're like, nah, man, it was cool. All right, let's figure out a new song. And no, he's like, no, go back to what y'all was just doing. And eventually, our mocking of Bills, and Umi Says is like one of Bilal's most loved songs sometimes.
Yeah.
But
best Bilal song of all time.
Even then,
That's how that song came out?
yeah, but even then, I'll say that maybe 60% of his vocals was just like Steve was our engineer at the time. Like basically, like he just took a 57 mic and was just singing anything.
I wish I wasn't me.
And just literally, that's how that song. But it was based on Carmen's experience with
Losing out the most.
Carmen, right? It just hit me. You're directly.
What was that like, man? Directing that. Doing that, like that shit was crazy.
I like taking on, chances and trying different things. And when MTV approached me about doing a hip hop opera, I was like, ooh, that sounds a lot of fun. And initially, they didn't want Beyoncé because they were like, has she ever acted before? And so there were certain executives that were giving me pushback. So here's the story. So then I have to go to New York to have the audition there. She's doing something in New York, and I say, we'll have her audition at the MTV office in New York, with the big windows and all that stuff. So anyway, she comes in, and she comes in with a bodyguard because she's in Destiny's Child, and she comes in with some A&R woman. And so when she comes in, I can see she's nervous. And I was like, oh my God, she's nervous. And I'm like, I had seen her, I had hosted some event in Cincinnati with Destiny's Child, and I go, she's really charismatic. That I didn't know her name either, like Beyonce, but I was like, that girl, that one singer is really charismatic. I could just tell when the camera likes somebody. So anyway, I go, no, she should do it. And it's like, Robert, you want to get an actress, she's never acted before. So then she shows up, she's nervous, and so I go like, oh man, all the executives, I don't want them to think, they got me on this one. So I go, she goes, yeah, I mean, I've never acted before, and so on, so on, so on. So then I flipped the script. I said to the bodyguard, I said, you're gonna be acting in the scene. And then I said to the A&R woman, you're gonna be acting in the scene. And then they got really, Mr. Townsend, I don't act, Mr. Townsend. You act in the day. And so then he grabs the script and he's shaking, and then the A&R woman, she's nervous.
Stephanie?
I can't think of
Stephanie, yes.
And so she's nervous, and then I see Beyonce get relaxed. And so then she gets relaxed, and then I was like, okay, so we're going to do the scene now. And this is the scene where you get shot, and I go, you get shot in the hip, and you're going to turn around, you're going to spin around, and so on, so on, so on, so. And she goes, yeah, let's do it again. And she had those red bottoms on, rolling around the floor in her suit and everything, and she goes, I don't care about that. And we were doing it again and again and again, and I just remember I showed the stuff to the studio, and they were like, "You're right, she is." I said, "She hasn't acted before, but I said she does her music videos, but this is a hip hop." And so when we were on set, you know, the only thing that got tricky was that she was really a baby. She had never been in a relationship. You know what I mean? She was a baby that blew up. And so she was concerned about the kiss scene because she had to kiss Mehki Phifer. And so she would be like, do I really kiss him? I said, well, it's a kiss. You got to kiss him. And so then she was just so shy because she's a baby. So anyway, so every day she would ask me when we were shooting, is it today? And I says, no, the kiss doesn't happen today. Yeah, she was like, it's day 7. No, it's not today. You know, day 8. No, it's not today. Day 15, it's today. And she goes, oh. And so I said, just give me a good kiss, but she is not, you know, I said, watch me kiss my hand, and I do the whole hand kiss, and I do the whole thing, you know, just to show her, because she wasn't. And so then Mehki wasn't helping, because he's going like,
Right.
Ready.
I cannot wait. Come on, girl. Come on. Don't be shy. And so, so then, you know, it was like comedy, because then I said, kiss him, and she goes, and I go, no, you got to kiss him a little bit longer.
How
long, Robert? Like 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And so
She is
then,
counting in her head.
and then she's like, 1,000. And so I said, no, you got to kiss him. And, you know, I said, give me one juicy one, and we're out of here. Give me one. You know what I'm saying? Give me one juicy one.
Hey, Rock Nation, don't come after me. That's Sugar Steve talking.
Yeah, come after me.
And so she finally does it, and then it comes together. But I just remember, you know, like now when I see her, I was like, oh, she has grown. And when I watched her in Cadillac Records, I mean, it's just you know, she's just, but I saw it back then, even when we were in the studio recording the rap.
Did she look at any Dorothy Dandridge stuff, or did anybody even?
I think I told her not to, because I wasn't trying to compare performances, because she just, you know, I could see she was a natural. She just needed, like I said, that little switch of the people acting opposite her made her relax, and then I saw it. And then when we were on set, it was just fun.
I wanted to ask you about a project that it never came out, not to my knowledge, the Sonny Liston movie that you were working on with Ving Rates.
Oh, it was a company out of Canada, so it had like a really small release. I'm really proud of that movie.
Yeah,
Ving
man,
is a hella. Let me say this: Ving Rates is an amazing actor, and he doesn't get all the respect, you know. So I went. So what happened was I had finished. I worked with him on the film Holiday Heart.
Yeah.
With Alfre Woodard, and she got nominated for the Golden Globe for her performance. And Ving, he had just come off of Baby Boy, but then he was playing this gay man, and I mean, he was just brilliant in it, brilliant. So after we got finished with the film, he says, hey man, I'm working on this movie in Canada with this small production company. It's the Sonny Liston. He goes, I don't like this director. I'm spoiled because I got to work with you, and you know, people really love, you know, working, you know, our chemistry as a working team. And so then I flew to Toronto, and we shot the movie up there. It's available on DVD, but it's like a small production company out of Toronto.
Yeah,
so,
I saw it. I mean, this has been years ago. Like I saw it, but I always wondered why it never, you know.
Yeah, because there was something about there was stuff going on behind the scenes with the money. And with the production company, but Ving does an amazing job.
I enjoyed the movie, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can you talk about the process of Raw? Because the thing is, if someone asks you to shoot a concert film, you really can't reinvent the wheel,
right?
But is there a pressure on you? Because I mean, by that point, I know that for certain comedians in the 60s, Cosby albums are their North Star. Prior albums are, you know, the North Star of 70s comedians. And, you know, Eddie Murphy basically, you know, Delirious was pretty much like people knew it was an instant classic the second it came out.
Right.
So in your mind, are you like what's the planning process for Raw? And you know, and that how did you have the wherewithal to know who a Samuel L. Jackson was or Bud?
Deon
Richmond or Cole. Or I'm
yeah.
about to say Deon
Deon
Cole.
Cole.
Deon Richmond or Ashley. Tatyana Ali.
Yeah.
Like you have in that opening sketch, like these are
The next
established
30
act-
years.
Right.
But you know what it is? It's kind of like I have laser eyes when it comes to casting. Like my eyes are like laser focused. So even back then, I'm looking and I can tell when people really have the talent, they really have the gift. And like Sam, I just knew he had something special. I could just tell, and I was like, oh, he can improvise, he can do whatever. And then with the kids, there's a reason why people are stars. There's a certain look, there's a certain energy, there's a certain frequency. Mm-hmm. So when I am casting, I cast on people's energy. And so even back then, those baby actors, they had that little spark, and I saw the spark. With Sam, you know, I see a lot of actors, and some actors are not magical. You know, I mean, I'm hard on talent, you know, because I mean, if I've casted right, then they will be perfect for the role. If I've done my job, and you go like, there's something extra going on, like people don't know that there's extra sauce going on. Like B.A.P.S, for example, Natalie, who played opposite Hallie. The studios wanted me to cast whatever black actress was on television at that time. And it's like, well, she's hot. She can get on The Tonight Show. She can get on Letterman. She can get on so-and-so and so-and-so. And I was like, no, it's got to be about chemistry. And she happened to be in an acting class with Faison Love. And Faison goes, there's this girl that's in my acting class that I think could be perfect for your movie. And I said, you know, I'll meet her at your house. And we did a 2-hour improv doing all the scenes from the film. And so I was like, I finished doing the improv with her, and I was like, she's the star. She's the one who's going to be in the film with Hallie. I call the studio, and the studio goes, Robert, she hasn't made a movie before. You know, what do you mean some unknown with Hallie? I said, would you just look at her, please? Just look at her. I think she's got something special. So anyway, he says, well, bring her to the callbacks, whatever. So we have the callbacks, and I'm scouting locations that day. So I've got the top black actresses from television, movies, theater, all waiting for a callback. Now, nothing against any of them, but I need a certain chemistry with, you know, this is Hallie's first real comedy. Yeah. So I'm like, she's going to be a fool in it, and I need to create a comedy team that we've never seen before. So I get there, Natalie is a nervous wreck, you know, and I come in and I go, hey, everybody, thank you guys so much. Sorry, I was running late. We were scouting, blah, blah, blah. And so then I look at Natalie and she's like, Rabbit, you know, and so I pull her to the side. I say, come here, girl, come here. And she's like, you know, like, I know half these actresses from TV and movies. What am I doing here, Robert? What am I doing here? This is a big mistake. I ain't never done nothing. So anyway, I said, would you just relax and just be cool? So I said, don't worry about that. Be who God made you to be. Just walk through that door. So anyway, she walks through. We bring all the other actresses in. She walks through the door. The whole time, we're sitting behind a table like this. Hallie's on this side, executives over here, other people. And Hallie has the script reader read with everybody, and she's just watching, and she'll read, you know, blah, blah, blah. When Natalie comes in, shaking a little bit, she goes, hi, y'all. Hi, this is my first big audition. I hope, you know. And then Hallie gets up from behind the desk and walks up and hugs her and says, let's read together.
Wow.
Okay, so this is what I want to ask you advice-wise. So when my dad taught me how to audition musicians, which is you pick the simplest ballad ever and make them audition the easiest ballad ever. Like think of something simple like Color My World by like Chicago or whatever. Just something very, it's almost like chopsticks level of easy. And he tells me, and I would say, Dad, why do we got more intricate songs in the show? Like, let's audition that. He says, no. He says, because a ballad will reveal to me, like a musician will fall apart if he can't just do the simple task of, you know, so it's like, forget the 7-8 meter.
And all the feels and all of that.
And even now, like with my group, if I present something really intricate, they'll put their mind power to study, you know, but if it's just do nothing except this every 3 seconds, it's the hardest thing in the world. What is the director's equivalent of that in the audition process? Because in about 3 months, I'm about to go through this process, and I don't know what to look for or cheat codes to they have it, they don't have it. Like, what do you look for when you? Is there a specific go-to?
So let me
Your
say
bowl
this.
of fruit.
So no. I mean, here's the it's easy. I make it very easy. The first thing is that I don't touch the actors initially. I don't even, I said, let me see your instincts. Let me see how you see the role. Let me just see your instincts. I don't even direct them initially. So then they'll go like, I want to do, and I just go, relax, breathe. Like right now, breathe, relax. Take your time, close your eyes, okay? Whatever is stressing you, worried about, get it off of you, shake the energy out, shake it out. Here we go, settle. Do whatever you want to do. Here we go, and action. So now.
I ain't be got no weapon. I ain't be got no weapon.
No, but so once I see their natural instincts, I can see if they, it's kind of like probably with musicians, you can see that little magic or little fleur or something, and you go like, oh, there's something there. I let them do that, and then I start to play. Then I go, oh, I love what you're doing. Hey, can you do Ain't Be Got No Weapon again? But this time, I want you to take your glasses off and put them on and go, I ain't be got no weapon. And then I'll just give them like little things to play with. And then I'll just start, I'll get on their frequency. So part of it is like getting on their frequency because it depends on the role. Like, I had a scene. There's a movie I did that I'm really proud of. And it was like this little film called In the Hive. It's with Loretta Devine, and it was Michael Clarke Duncan's last movie. Wow! And it's like this really. She was nominated for the NAACP Image Award for Best Actress, and and that scene was so powerful. The movie was so powerful, and there's scenes with him in there so powerful. We played a scene at his funeral when he passed. Wow! The family was like, "Could you play this scene because it just showed him?" But here's my directing style. I'll give you just like a little tidbit. So anyway, there's a young actor. He's 20, but he hasn't done anything. And he's got this monologue. He's playing a kid that's supposed to be 14, but he's old. He looks really young. So anyway, there's a scene where it's based on a true story of this woman in North Carolina who was the cook of the school, and when all the kids were getting kicked out for drug dealing and gangbanging, she says, I'll take them. Mm-hmm. I'll teach them. And she starts at school with this football player played by Michael Clarke Duncan. So anyway, the kid has a long monologue where he's supposed to break down and cry. And so he couldn't cry for some reason. And I only do like 3 takes. I never do more than 3, maybe 4 if the camera has a bobble or something. I only do 3 takes, and I was up to 12. Ooh. And so the crew is looking at me like, Rob, he ain't going to cry. We are not going to get it. So then I have to dig into my bag of tricks. So then I say to him, I said, you're working with Michael Clarke Duncan and Loretta Devine and Robert Townsend is directing you. I said, who is not with us that would be so proud of you right now in this moment? So he goes, my Aunt Betty. And I said, your Aunt Betty. And so I said, you know what? I said, Loretta, can you come over here? Now, Loretta was on Broadway in Dreamgirls. And so I said, Loretta, can you sing Precious Lord?
Oh, Lord.
And we're going to do. And so she starts to sing, Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. And so I said, we're here at Betty's funeral, and she is so proud of her nephew who is working on this movie. He started crying. Roll cameras, here we go. Right. A camera, let's go, please. Here we go. Background, here we go. Settle, and action. Now here's the part. He starts doing it. The scene is perfect. He's crying, the whole thing, but this is where it gets messed up. He couldn't stop crying.
It's too much. Yeah.
He released so hard, he says, I had never cried at her real funeral. Oh. He goes, I never released. And I just held him, and so like certain times as a director, because, I have the arsenal, I felt bad because he got the performance. I got the performance I wanted, but he had never really released at his own. The same thing happened with Natalie Cole when I was working on the Natalie Cole story about her life. And she had a monologue, and I just remember, she had a monologue because she was talking about her father. It was like Angel on My Shoulder for NBC. Mm-hmm. And so Natalie, she had this monologue because she's in it performing in it, and she's also doing the narration. So she goes, my father was such a powerful man. When he would sing his songs, I remember so-and-so and so-and-so. And she did it really perfectly. And that part of my brain where like that extra sauce comes in, I go, oh, I said, he really lived. He really lived. And she goes like, and we go behind the green screen and she's crying in my arms because she goes, I forgot my father, because it's all like Nat King Cole, unforgettable. Yeah. And then she goes like, I said, this moment here is really about you talking about that real man rather than like my father. It was like, like if you talked about your father, your mother, whatever, you would go, my mother, you would go like, my mother was. And she released, and then we cleaned her makeup up and did the whole thing, and then we did it again, and it was grounded and it was real. But it's like sometimes, like for you, if you're talking about directing or creating and stuff, you got to get on that frequency of the actors.
Was that who played her? I remember
Teresa Randall. Teresa Randall.
Yeah, man.
And she was really good. She was really good. Yeah.
Wow. How was it working with her?
Wonderful. Well, I mean, we had so many. Because she was, it's like when an artist lives a life and you talk about surrounding yourself with good people, and there were certain people in her life that were like snakes and took advantage. And so we would have those real conversations, which breaks your heart because there's a constant learning curve. Mm-hmm. Like you got to learn this world. You got to learn. Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, so and so, the business manager. Okay, so and so, the agent. So and so, my lawyer. Can I trust him? Oh, my best friend. Is she really my best friend? Or does she hate me? You know what I mean? Friend of me. So it's stuff like that just kind of breaks your heart.
Man. Do you have a favorite Natalie Cole song, real quick?
What is this? Inseparable.
Mine's La Costa.
Look, I was about to say La Costa that's my jam.
I love that one too. My mother, I watched that movie. My mother, I think me and my mom actually watched that movie together. Now I think about it. Natalie Cole was her favorite singer, and Nat King Cole was my granddad's favorite singer.
Oh man, no, Nat King Cole, yes.
Again, man, you really created those moments that like really brought like generations together, man. Like for real.
Thank you. I heard a story from Keenen or someone in Keenan's family saying that. Initially, did the MPAA board wanted to give Raw an X rating?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, that I do a whole story about. I do a whole story about that because basically, you asked me like, what was the hardest thing? Like when you're working on Raw, you got a comedian that's a genius, and Eddie is a genius, and so I talk all the time when I direct. When you cast really well, you direct like this. That's all I do. That. If I've cast really well, that's all I do. So Eddie's a master comedian. So you can't really direct him. You can give him notes and make an adjustment. Hey, you could be a little bit more animated when you do that bit. Hey, I'm going to be on your face here, so just give me a little bit of. So I said, hey, you could go a little bit further with the body here. So
how many shows did you shoot?
2, at the Paramount Theater. At the Paramount Theater in Madison Square Garden. And so we did the 2 shows. So anyway, we do the 2 shows. We're all excited, happy. I put my cut together. I show the cut to Keenen. Keenen loves it. We make adjustments. I show it to the studio. The studio loves it. I show it to Eddie. Eddie loves it. Everything is great. We're going to have a big hit. The studio calls back. We got a problem. We got a big problem. We showed it to the ratings board, and they've given it an X rating. You're going to have to recut everything.
What?
And Eddie was like, nah, I ain't cutting shit. Bullshit. And so then he goes, I ain't cutting nothing. And so then the studio's like, look, Eddie, we can't release an X-rated film. Eddie, they're willing to work with us, Eddie. They're willing to work with us. And so then we had to have this emergency meeting at Eddie's house, and we have the lawyers from Paramount and the lawyers from the ratings board, and they're all around this long table in Eddie's house, and they've counted every curse word in the film. And, he's got a lawyer.
There's 72 motherfuckers, 52 bitches, 13 cunts, and various cocksuckers. So let's begin. And so then, are you taking that motherfucker or are we taking that motherfucker?
How many motherfuckers for an R?
And so we go back and forth. We go back and forth and we negotiate, and then we finally get down.
Line for line, you guys had to negotiate.
Yeah. And then Eddie would get upset. Then Eddie goes like, no, I need that motherfucker. I'll give you two bitches and a hoe for that motherfucker. And so we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then he goes, we finally have an R.
I know this is good. This is good. This is good. I think we're almost there. We're almost there. And so they go through the whole thing.
What is it like to have it and then suddenly you have to dissect and?
Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing. It's part, you know, the film is called Raw, and it really was raw. He had, you know, Eddie's a genius, man. He's a genius. So there was no filter. And it was like having a front row to watch pure genius. I mean, he's still that guy. Right. So it's like watching pure genius.
Okay.
I know I know this is kind of a ridiculous concept, but did anybody bring up the idea of like a clean version of Raw? Like, was that even like an option?
No, because at that point, Eddie was so because at that point Eddie was so far. You know, he was a rock star.
God.
Yeah, but I'm saying the way you can release a song now that's like a clean version and a regular version.
People ask me all the time, how much did you cut out? And it's like, yeah, we cut out a bunch of stuff, but it was like being a surgeon. Like, okay, take this one out, take that fuck out. Because he did, you know, the Italian guys grabbing their ball. You know, he did. I mean, he was just on some. He's a genius. He's a genius. But we couldn't do. It would have just been beep 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 beep.
Yeah. Is there a director's cut in your layer?
I wish there could be a director's cut, but I mean that was so long ago. And then after we went through cutting, you know, it would be a nightmare to try to figure it out.
Okay, we can go through your entire canon, but we would be here for 12 hours.
But we gotta add the bear.
Yeah, I was gonna say you playing Ao's father. Like,
yeah, man.
What is it like?
You know, let me say this.
Love it.
Nah, man, it was so. I was so happy.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
It is so well written, so well directed, produced, wonderful talent cast. So, you know, for me, you know, she loves me from the Parenthood. She was like, that was my show growing up and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh. And so when they reached out, I was like, I'd love to. And here's the thing. I was watching the show before they even called and said, hey, would you like to be a part of the world? Yeah. Because it's just so, I just like quality, man. And it's a quality show. And so I don't know what's going to happen in the next season, but, you know, everybody's, you know, loving it. And I just feel blessed to be a part of it.
He's a good dad. It's an interesting role.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we got to get her on the show.
Yeah.
I saw Bottoms this weekend, and she's like, that's a Star is Born moment.
Band camp thing too, right? She got a couple things going.
Yeah,
on.
well, she has everything going on. She's doing stuff with Tyler and all that stuff. But, man, I you know, I know this is going to be one of those things where when you leave. Then we're just going to be going back and forth.
We forgot about this.
Right, exactly. Like, did I exhaust everything?
You're still teaching at USC.
I'm professor, yes.
Okay, and the class is?
I'm directing. Mike, you know, let me say, you know, let me say this. I'm tenured at USC directing, and so let me say this. I think I'm like probably one of the few professors where I have more students in my class that are registered than are registered.
Yeah, I was about to find out because you can just go sit in.
People come and
people sneak in.
Yeah.
People come. Well, the students, you know, reach out. They love. You know, here's the thing. You know, it's kind of like I want everybody to live their dream, and my philosophy is that if you want to direct, write, produce, you can do it. You just got to be willing to go the extra mile. So a lot of the students, I see their hunger, like they want it. And then sometimes there's professors that don't know how to reach them or communicate. And the students that I have, you know, and I just feel, I mean, you know, like when you're a kid and you go like, when I grow up, I'm going to be an actor, a writer, a director, a producer, and a professor. Yes. And I'm literally,
I'm doing all of it.
You know what I mean? And so the students, I love it when they have their breakthroughs. And so my babies, they're all, you know, they're my babies, my cinematic babies. And they're having, like one of my students, Christian, won the DGA award for a student. And I was like, and I worked with that boy, and I was just like, he won, and I was like, he's really good. He's really good. So I just feel blessed.
Speaking of your babies, we got to talk about your baby.
Oh Jesus, Skye.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like to see her level of comedy is frightening to me because what she's when she jumps into those characters,
Yeah.
like I know people that can jump into characters, especially like I've been at 30 Rock for like 15 years now, and so watching people like the level of improvisation that like if any of those SNL, Fallon, like anybody in that stratosphere, they get into a circle, they just start improvising, like it's the magic, like the Harlem Globetrotters, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Watching her, first of all, are all your children like that? Like
They all have special.
it's a supernatural level watching her do
Well, thank you.
characters. And
You know, here's the thing. It's kind of like we are all blessed, and if you walk in your purpose, she's been blessed with a lot of talent. I mean, and yes, on the show she's showing you her character. She can go so deep,
Right.
Like sometimes I'm blown away, but she's been doing it since she was little. Like she was a baby. Like when I used to take them to school. We would play we called it the radio game, and I'd be in the car and I'll just change the radio station and whatever the music is, and we go to the different stations. And so if it's French, we'd be going French back and forth. If it was Southern, so good morning, we'd just do characters, British, English, if it sounded like the BBC. So, as a baby, she was doing that. So seeing her on the show, we just have these beautiful moments because I just want her to because at one point I was really hard on her and I said let me stop because I was like,
give notes.
I didn't want to be the Joe Jackson of impressions.
stage there, right.
Baby, do that voice again. You better do that damn voice. You better do Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. You better learn how to do that. So the thing is that I pulled back and we just have the best because she'll be working on characters and we'll just play. And it's like it's like I got a question for you. Like, as musicians, like for me, like she has a magical thing that she just, like she just lives in that pocket. When you're looking at musicians and artists, do they have to have a level of magic that maybe somebody doesn't see? Is there magic involved?
so here's the thing. I possessed that magic.
Yes.
And then you got to be careful in how you use it because one day that magic just wound up being my job. And I didn't realize that even though I channel that magic all the time, it was to the level, it was so effort, like Steph Curry, like I could phone it in.
Right.
I could talk to you right now and literally do the same performance I did on record. Like that's how it is. It took me 3 years ago. The one thing I could say, like pre-pandemic, was I was not in love with music the way I was in love with it as a kid. Like as a kid, teachers used to play games with me, like, okay, name all 6 Commodores in 20 seconds. Okay, Ronald Lepre, Marlon Williams, Walter Orange Kings, Lionel Richie, Thomas McClary. Like I was that guy. And then like when my fan base would suddenly like approach me and there'll be an overzealous guy like, yeah, the Japanese B-side that you did and remix or whatever. And I'm not saying I was the guy that was easily annoyed. I'm willing to admit now and in hindsight that a lot of my self-deprecation, not deserving it, like I had to maybe create a character where it's like maybe I felt so guilty for the positioning that I'm in that I was willing to psychologically disassociate myself. So like, okay, yeah, I'm like, no, I don't care about this shit. Like, oh man, all right, I'll be like, okay, calm down, or thank you. Just say you're a fan, and I was that person. So I actually had to learn how to be vulnerable again in the pandemic because that's the first time in my adult life that I didn't do anything. Like I've been on stage since I was 5 with my dad, and then the roots started in high school, and then so I had to learn how to be vulnerable again in order to like actually love playing music. And it's a weird thing. Like it was a passion, then became a job, then became a burden. Then it just became, I don't want to do this anymore. It became obligation. Like, all right, they need to pay their rent, so I'll still do this. But when you have silence on your hands, like we did with the pandemic, one of the things that my coach therapist said was like, you know, where's the mind state you want to get to? And she suggested to me, like, it sounds to me that you were your happiest with music at the age of 11. So I need you to return to that 11-year-old.
Ooh.
And when you're like holding the world on your shoulders, you know, you're dismissive.
That's
you're
responsibility.
Like, oh man, I don't got time to, you know, I got lives to, you know, take care of.
But
I don't
that
have time to be a
11-year-old is
kid.
why you got that. That's
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to allow myself the levity to be an 11-year-old. So now I'm an 11-year-old again. Like I would never be this giddy.
Right. Nah,
2015. You know. Yeah.
And
Robert Townsend on show. No big deal.
Rob as well, man. Like to your point, you asked him about magic. You know what I'm saying? Is there magic? You know, with musicians. You know what I'm saying? And it absolutely is. And the thing about us, you know, in our craft, in my career, you know, going through it, you know that magic is elusive. You know what I'm saying? Like magic is, you feel me? So it's like if you're working on an album, the thing with our crew, we kind of take is like, all right, if I'm working on a record, you're going to do some records and you're going to have one record that's a 10. That is like, yo, we bodied this shit. Fuck you. We clap, like, fuck what you talking about. Fuck your opinion. We clap this shit up, right?
Right.
If you're lucky, if you get 2 10s on an album, oh my God. But like, you're going to get that one. So for us, the mentality is kind of, to your point, is like good is the enemy of great.
Yes.
We're so technically good at what we do. We can just pull up and do whatever and it'll be good. Fuck good. Good is the minimum. We trying to get greatness. So if you getting a 10 on one record, you feel me? If you got a 10, it's like, okay, we know that's magic. We know that was our Moby Dick. Okay, we caught him one time. But if we got a 10, we can't have nothing else on this album that's less than an 8 because we've shown that we can hit a 10. So you coming here with these 6 and 7, fuck out of here, bro. Like that ain't nah.
See, I feel glory. I feel glory. Was your return like of all your verses on all your?
That's what I was literally just thinking. I was like, so therefore, Phonte, what would you recommend to Robert as your 10 album? What's the one?
No, the listening is, and I know for you, the listening is almost like my Things Fall Apart. Like when people say Things Fall Apart, I feel like, ah man, but I've done other albums that's just great. But I understand.
It's just the thing that speaks to the person where they at that
where
time.
they were in their life.
Yeah.
All right, look,
You ain't answered mine.
What are you saying? What you saying? Was my 10?
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm thinking Robert might not really know. He don't know what your 10 sound like, and he should probably know. So
I would like to know. Yeah.
Oh man, I got a 10 for us. I would say on the Little Brother side, I think our last album, Made a Lord Watch, that was our first record in like 10 years, and I just developed a skill set, you know, as getting older, working in TV, learning the language of like storytelling, because that's essentially, for me, that's what musicianship is. It's all storytelling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so, you know what I mean? So working in TV, writing songs for TV, writing songs for Sesame Street, doing TV stuff, like that really gave me a whole new skill set in terms of telling stories, and that translated to like my MCing and songwriting. So I would say May Lord Watch the 10, Leave It All Behind, which is the record I did with my other group, Foreign Exchange R&B group. We were now.
Would you send me all this stuff?
Yes.
Would you send me the
Yes.
music, please? I want to listen to.
Yes.
Send it.
I will say the perfect gateway drug. He's also being modest and can't be a fan of something he's a part of, but what he represents is kind of like, okay, so Drake has went on record to say that that's his hero. So he came in a period. Phonte came along in a period in which, when the internet and social media and the blogosphere was becoming the standard, like for you, it was pounding the pavement, going to these brick and mortar comedy houses, whatever. Whereas now you can get a whole career based on this machine. He's the first person to really take advantage of what this device had to offer in terms of he's made albums with people he's never met yet in other countries.
Yeah, the record I did, Foreign Exchange, my partner Nicolay, at the time, he was living in the Netherlands and I was in North Carolina in Durham, and so we were just on AIM. We were on Instant Messenger, and we would just send tracks through Instant Messenger, and we completed the whole album. We didn't meet until the album was finished, like in person. You know,
And it's not just a record.
It's an artistic piece.
It's a classic album.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, the listening.
Please send it to me. Please.
The listening, I'll put up there, the connect our album. I'll send you stuff, but I say all that to say, man, you really hearing your story, like, I don't think you understand, man. Like, you lit a fire, whether you recognize you do or not, you lit a fire under, like, so many black creators and black artists that were like, yo, we not waiting, fuck waiting. We not waiting on somebody to give us a chance. We not waiting. We gonna make the shit we want to make and figure it out how we gonna do it. And I think now, you know, I mean, a Robert Townsend in 2023, you know what I'm saying, a young guy. There's so many tools now that, you know, you really don't need them to some degree. I mean, unless you're trying to make, you know, fucking something with Iron Man in it, then yeah. But if you're just trying to tell a story that's true to you, if you know how to make it and you got your people, and I really like what you said about how, you know, when Amir was asking about the actors, and it was like, yo, it was my word. Like, that is the exact same way we run it, bro. It's like everybody gets paid. You're going to be compensated. You're going to be shown that you're valued for your time. But if you can't take a person that they signature don't mean
Yes,
shit.
sir. Yes, sir.
So, you know what I mean? So it was just, you really lit a fire under us, man. And like watching Hollywood Shuffle, like I showed that to my kids. My boys are 22 and 17. Like I showed them that movie and they laugh at it. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So again, inspiration, is too small of a word. Like, you were a fucking and are a blueprint for us.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't want to take it away.
no, you gave the final thing.
He's an Aquarius. He can't take all these compliments.
I accept compliments.
Talk about Robert.
Oh, you're an Aquarian too?
I'm Aquarius too.
Of course you are.
February 6th. When is yours?
January 20th.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Wait, I'm right now making the obligatory phone call that I have to do whenever we do a classic episode. He's not going to pick up. He better pick up. Jimmy.
Okay.
So, you know, so he's not going to pick up. Whenever we do an exemplary classic episode of Questlove Supreme, I have to let Jimmy Jam know that he's going down a rank. He's been.
You better stop.
It took him 6 hours. We did that with him for 6 hours.
Jimmy Jam was it was supposed to be 90 minutes. It wound up being 3 episodes. Jimmy, but then the Family Stand came in and did the most unexpected episode of all time. This to me, I'm willing to say this is probably the episode I needed.
Yeah.
Nah, we all need
We
it.
all.
So,
Jimmy Jam is now in third place. Sorry,
Jimmy Jam. Control is still a great album.
Yes, exactly.
It wasn't the bold, the black, and the beautiful.
Come on, man. Hold on. One of my favorite scenes I have to do is come on, man. We left you alone thinking you was going to leave that drinking and drug shit before. We left you alone thinking you was going to calm down. Like, yo, Harry Lennox. Like,
Harry Lennox.
Bro,
Oh.
like, I love that scene,
Thank
man.
you.
Well,
And,
thank you.
Hawthorne, God, just the actors, man.
Hawthorne James.
Oh, my God. Big Red, like.
No,
Big Red,
I saw him doing Shakespeare at the
He does
Inner City.
Shakespeare?
I could see that.
Oh yeah.
What?
He was doing Macbeth. And he was, I think, not master, and I was like,
Yeah.
this guy could be a bad guy, really good. I mean, he's a brilliant
Nah,
actor.
your eye for talent, man. It's like, seriously, like,
Thank
we
you.
salute you, bro.
Wait, just one last tiny question. We might have to insert this in the interview. Are you at all related to producer Ed Townsend?
I am not. I see that over, I've had people
Thank you,
reach
Jesus.
out.
Okay.
I'm not related to him, but he's a talented man. Bless.
I just wanted to know. All right, unpaid bill, you missed a masterpiece today.
Man, listen.
I cannot wait to gloat. Well, on behalf of Fontigolo, Sugar Steve, Laia, and Unpaid Bill, bruh, I'm sorry.
Yo, Robert, that one episode of MASH, man.
Robert Townsend, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll see you on the next go round of Questlove Supreme.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.